I got feelings, you know. This ain't cowboy.
Everybody's got them, you know.
The hell with everybody.
No, maybe it's the hell with you.
I don't want to listen to this crap.
Then you don't talk like everybody owes you a living.
Shut your mouth.
Look, nobody owes nobody nothing. You owe yourself.
You're wrong. Friends owe.
Friends don't owe. They do because they want to do.
Shut your freaking mouth. You've been keeping me down.
Down? You know, you're like a crazy brother to me. You really are. So I'm going to tell you something. This is coming straight from the heart, and I mean this. You ain't down. And you ain't a loser. You're just a jealous, lazy bum.
Okay. I'm going to break your mouth. I'm going to fuck your mouth up!
I love you, man. You know that? Your mirror is supposed to be like this, you know? You blew it. You...
Hello, this is Burt Young. You listen to the Skeleton Crew, and I don't sweat you.
Skeleton Crew is back. I'm feeling good. Oh my god, life is so good, isn't it, Jamie?
I'm about to enjoy it even more. This is going to be fun.
The future's so bright.
Gotta wear shades?
Gotta wear shades, man. You know? This is the Skeleton Crew, a horror podcast. We're not a superhero podcast or a TV show podcast. We are a horror podcast, and we're here to have fun. And that's it. And have a good time. And that's why we have a special guest host, a good buddy of mine and Jamie's, and a really great friend of the show. You know him from Scream 1, 2, 3, 4 show. It is Duncan McLeish from Podcasts Under the Stairs. What's up, Duncan?
Dude. This is so fucking awesome being here.
Oh. What, you actually appreciate it, you're saying? You actually are happy to be here? That is...
Of course.
Oh, of course. Yeah, who would think you wouldn't be? That's insane. But, yeah, so that's great, man. We're glad to have you here. So we have a cool show coming up. You know, did we do the top 25 worst horror movies list? Is that what that was?
We went through the list that was pulled from horrormovies.ca, and we ran down the according to them, the 25 worst horror films.
Right. They're usually ridiculous, and here's one thing that we did that kind of counter acts with what I said on that show. On that show, I said clearly these people have not watched every indie horror movie. They have not, gone to the Walmart $10 section every Tuesday with horror, because those movies are not even near the worst. But, I guess it really does make sense, don't you think? I mean, why should we name obscure movies that nobody's heard of? Isn't it more fun even to mention popular horror movies that someone knows?
Yeah, I mean, when I was going through my list trying to narrow it down, there were a lot of, there were a couple of, Hold Your Breath was on there. Well, Hold Your Breath is I think it's even an Asylum film. And I was like, you know what, that's not even fair. It's not fair to include that movie as bad as it is. There are big movies out there, or bigger movies out there that are worse. So, yeah, I tried to make an effort to, and I'm not even I didn't include any remakes on my list either, because that's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel, I think. So, and I'm not saying if either of you guys included remakes, I think that's totally acceptable. I'm just saying.
Yeah, whatever, fuck you.
When I did it.
I'm going to go rework my list. I will be right back after this one. Since 9 of them are remakes. Well, Duncan, what do you think? Did you go... You went popular horror, right? So, somebody...
I picked a couple here. I don't think I'm going to be bringing to the table anything which is not already known by your average kind of well-informed horror fan. I think I unfortunately did pick a couple of remakes because, I think
it's totally valid. I'm not saying it's not valid. Those are valid choices. If you hate the movie, you flat out hate the movie.
Oh yeah, I think what I've done is I've tried to pick remakes though that change everything about it for the worse. So they try and reinvent the movie, but basically change everything that makes the original so amazing. And there's one on there which you probably will have it on your list as well, except Jamie, because she doesn't have remakes on hers. But one which is basically a shot for shot and pointless. So yeah, I mean,
Ooh, I know.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think that's the thing. I think the interesting thing about these films is if you probably look at some of these remakes, they made more money than the originals. And I think that's how I took it. Popular as in it made more money, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're good.
Hey, this is Von Coscarelli, and you are listening to the Skeleton Crew. And a heads up, Dan dies at the end.
This is the segment of the 10 worst horror movies of all time, but we're going the popular route, something you've heard of. For example, we're not going to say Camp Dread or Torment.
Did you watch that? I saw that you bought it.
Torment?
Yeah. Oh, no, you Redboxed it.
Yeah, I had it in my hand, and I go... Sorry, I'm picking Doritos out my teeth. I had it in my hand, and then I walked a couple feet, and I said, no, wait a minute. Hold on. This is not $10, it's $12. I don't know if I could do this. I can't commit to this. So I said, I wonder if they have it in Redbox. Let me just go there for the hell of it. And I only wanted it because I love Catherine Isabel. Still do. And I just wanted to watch, her movie. I'm going to meet her tomorrow, actually. I went there, and they had it. So I threw the thing back onto a pile of clothes in the women's section, the movie. And then I only bought the shirt I had in my hands also. And then I rented Torment from Redbox. And I got home, watched it, and then at the end I said, why did they even make this?
Okay.
Then, so here's the movie. So this family goes back to their old house, but their old house was when the original mom was still alive. She died of cancer, I think. So the guy married Catherine Isabel instead. The son's rejecting her and doesn't like her, says, you're not my mom, I don't love you, blah, 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 blah. Don't sit there, that's where my mom sat, all that kind of shit. And turns out there were people already living in that house because it was like a summer house or something like that. So there were people in there when he wasn't there. And they saw evidence of this, but they didn't really see the people themselves. Then, of course, they go to sleep or whatever the fuck happens. Then the people come out. They're wearing all these costumes, like on the cover, the big mouse costume, and there's a pig, and there's something else. And it's fluffy animal heads that they just put on their heads. And so basically they kidnap everybody, tie them up to stuff, tell them that they're going to kill the dad because he tortured the kid by having him somewhere he didn't want to be. And basically what they do is they do this to random families. They take the kid after killing the parents, and then they raise them into that family, almost like a cult type thing, and make them believe that this is your real family. We'll protect you. We'll do these things that your parents didn't do. And then they all grow up to be like wild animals and kill other people and do the same thing to their kids. And that was the movie. And it was the typical bullshit where the guy's tied up in the kitchen, the guy in his little costume is going, the truth will set you free. Papa, tell the truth. You don't love him. And it was like the fucking dumbest thing ever, guys. I feel like I'm dumb talking so long about it, but it's just like, it added nothing to the world. It was just a waste of time. And I'm so mad. Catherine Isabel did a great job, but with a dumb role. But, God, is it stupid. Like, I don't even know how the writer sold this to anybody who made it. Is what I'm trying to say.
Damn.
We're going to get to the top 10 worst horror movies of all time that you actually know. So, as the guest, Duncan, why don't you start off with your least hated of all the picks you did? Pick your least hated one you put on there. What is the worst horror movie in your opinion? One of your top 10s.
Oh man, see, I hate them all equally. I didn't. Yeah, I just kind of picked the ones that got my back up. So I'll start with this one, and this one might be slightly controversial because I know of quite a few people that actually don't mind this movie. I fucking hate it. I absolutely hate it, and it's Seed of Chucky. I just don't understand the purpose of this movie. And here's a couple of things that just in general in horror movies kind of annoy me, but when they're put in this movie just irritate the fuck out of me. So the first one is pointless rapper cameos. I hate that in a horror movie because one, it dates your movie horribly because the chances are that rapper won't be relevant 10 years from now. And in the case of this movie, Redman, I mean, who remembers Redman? I mean, is Redman still alive? Is he still recording things? I don't know. I don't know. I can't, hand on heart, I've never heard a Redman song, so there you go. But he's in it, and he's got all the screen presence of a fucking wet cabbage. It's just a pointless rapper cameo because that's what happened in the middle of the 2000s. They've got the kid, the actual seed of Chucky and Tiffany looks like a zombie Ziggy Stardust era fucking David Bowie, you know what I mean? And they don't explain why that is. And he knows martial arts because on the bottom of his foot it says "Made in Hong Kong," which I just think is a really fucking shitty joke. The Chucky character himself is now a third-tier character in this one. I mean, in Bride of Chucky he's a second-tier character because we're pushing the Tiff character right out there. And this one, he becomes third tier because you've got Jennifer Tilly's character, then you've got fucking Ziggy Stardust, and then you've got Chucky. And is this what it looks like, Ziggy Stardust? And I mean, it gets to the stage that you think about those first couple of movies where he's so sinister and so menacing. The highlight of this movie for him is wanking into a cup.
Right.
And having John Waters look through the window. Oh, thank God for the little people. It just irritates the fuck out of me. And this movie, this gets a pass from people. I don't understand it. If you look where that franchise started, and I mean, I love Curse of Chucky. I mean, that to me is a welcome return to form.
Is that the one that brought it back?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jonathan.
You and I did a show about that.
I love that movie. But when you see how that franchise started, and then you see that was a movie they basically went out on for almost a decade, that pretty much sums up why there was no attention for a Chucky movie. It just that movie single-handedly destroyed the franchise. So yeah, there you go. Is that justification enough? Because I can keep going about this piece of shit if you want.
Well, I guess the other thing we have to ask is, do we have any objections to this?
I honestly have not seen this in a while, but I recall thinking it was kind of funny back when it originally came out. And then we did that whole Child's Play series on Podcast Under the Stairs, but I don't think I did that one. I did the first.
You missed that one, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't actually watch it again recently. So I have no idea what I would feel about it now. But, I completely understand everything Duncan has said, and I really can't argue with anything that he said. So,
yeah, I can't argue. There's a popcorn level to the movie, Mm-hmm. I mean, here you're talking to somebody who's not invested in Chucky whatsoever. I don't give a fuck. I mean, it's whatever to me. I don't even like Bride of Chucky.
I don't like Bride of Chucky either, so. And that's what everyone seems to like.
Yeah, they do. And I don't like Seed of Chucky, which you just said you like. So, I don't get it. And I watched that shit twice.
You mean Curse?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we just said Seed. Yeah, Curse is what I'm talking about. And I don't get it. I just don't understand what part of this you like. And I'm sitting there.
They brought it back, though, did?
I'm sure it did, but brought it back to what? Chucky. And it's like, the guy's head, okay, his head slides off or some shit, okay, in the car accident, all right. And
that is a pretty wicked.
That is an awesome scene.
Okay, but what does that mean? We have 90 other minutes here.
The whole movie's good. Just stop.
Whatever, but...
Didn't you hear Jonathan Orr? It's the best movie of the year because it brought it back.
Oh, no. I did hear that. I think we've heard that for echoing for a long time on
we
this
have,
show.
Yeah. Enough of that.
Yeah, I think on 3 different shows we've heard the words "brought it back." Oh yo, and all
3. Put a 0 behind that.
Yeah, 30. Every show who listens to this show probably dropped the oh yo. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get curse. So, Seed, I'm not going to sit here and defend. So the verdict is in, and he is right. Duncan McLeish is right. It's not one of the best horror movies. It's one of the worst. So that is right. Okay, Jamie, you're next. What is one of the worst horror movies ever? Start with your least hated, if you could.
The Exorcist 2.
Good.
Oh, yes.
Heretic. And I know that people defend that film because of the director, and I don't give a shit. I don't care who you are. If you turn out a shit movie, you turn out a shit movie, and that's exactly what this was. What irritates me about this film is that it is a complete waste of Linda Blair, who is cute as hell at this stage, and could have been. Yeah, I just think they wasted her. James Earl Jones, who is an extreme talent, and everyone knows his voice. I often can't remember his name, so I frequently refer to him as the Darth Vader guy. But you know his voice as Darth Vader. You know his voice from doing film trailers. You know him from roles throughout
Conan.
And he's doing this. He's doing this, and it's bad. Confused. I want to say it's Sir Richard Burton who's in The Heretic.
Yeah, Richard Burton's an Exorcist.
Okay. Anyway, total waste of a renowned actor, and the plot is ridiculous. The storyline is completely absurd. You spend all this time watching people twirl shit above their heads with locusts all over the place. It has nothing to do with anything really that The Exorcist is about.
Pazuzu.
And as far as I'm concerned, it is just a blight on the franchise that is the Exorcist franchise. And that includes the 2 prequels that are basically the same movie but different that come later. This is worse than those. But I mean, so as far as I'm concerned, Exorcist 2 doesn't even really exist. I have the box set, but I never watch it. I go from The Exorcist straight to The Exorcist 3, which is William Peter Blatty's idea of what a sequel to The Exorcist should be, and it's an excellent film.
Is it?
So, Exorcist 3 is awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it really is.
Really?
It's so good. Mm-hmm. It's so good. So I can't. Every time I try to, I watched it most recently when I did the Exorcist Extravaganza. Damn, I came up with the fucking title and I can't say it.
Hey, do you know what they call 6 horror movies in a row? No? Okay. Actually, we got an answer to that.
Oh, we did? What was it?
Mark Harrison said it's 6 in a series is a hexology.
Oh, well, it makes sense.
Which would make sense, yeah.
Thank you, Mark. When Gary and I did the Exorcist Extravaganza show for Cinema Beef podcast, which if you haven't heard that, I recommend you check it out. We covered every single Exorcist film and Repossessed.
Oh, Repossessed. I love that movie.
And it hasn't been all that long since I forced myself to watch it again for that. And the whole time, I'm like, why am I watching this? It is such a drudge. I mean, you're trudging through it. It's so really just boring, and I can find no redeeming value in it whatsoever. So as far as I'm concerned, that is one of the worst horror films.
What was that one called?
The Exorcist 2, The Heretic.
No, the other one you just mentioned.
Repossessed?
Yeah, is that with Leslie Nielsen?
Yeah.
That's Linda Blair making fun of herself, and Leslie Nielsen doing the spoof is basically the spoof of The Exorcist.
Okay, I get it. Yes.
Or what would happen if she got repossessed, years later after she had a family and everything.
Well, that was a nice rant. You're not going to get no disagreement from me because in Skeleton Crew number 18, we did the first Jump the Shark show, and Exorcist was on there, and we picked the one that jumped the shark was Exorcist 2. So,
shown up.
If you want to hear my rant, go on there.
Duncan?
Oh, I'm 100% with you on that one. I just, to me, I would much rather they had just skipped that one and just did the third one. The third one, to me, is a far more interesting movie.
Oh, it's really good. And it's actually legitimately scary.
Oh, yeah. There's a couple of sequences in that. I only saw it last year because you told me to check it out. And there's a couple of sequences in that are creepy as fuck.
Yay. I love when I do that.
Okay. Well, there's no argument here. I'll start off with something that will get a lot out of Jamie, I think. Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake.
Oh, man. Damn Damn it. Oh, hush, Duncan.
I'm not a fan of Nightmare on Elm Street at all. I only like part 2. I don't like part 1. Sorry, guys. I just don't. I watched it again about a year ago. I thought it was boring. Part 3 is interesting. That's probably the most entertaining besides part 2 to me. And the rest are just crap to me. Even the new Nightmare. I watched it again. Didn't like it. Just thought it was stupid. I hate the way Freddy looks.
I love the way he looks in that. He's a rock star, dude.
I don't care for the actress. I don't care for the fucking hat he has on or the jacket or anything. I just think it's terrible. Everything about it just doesn't work for me. I think it's very interesting, very well thought out. The whole thing about the script and it coming to life, all that type of shit. Whatever, fine. So they should have ended it there, but they made the mistake of doing Freddy vs. Jason, and Robert Englund just dropped the ball on that role. That was just terrible acting. And everything was horrible with that. So they go ahead and just say, okay, fuck it, let's remake this shit. 2010, and this is a big... it should have been a great experience for me. I went to there's a drive-in movie theater in something, New York. What was it called? I don't remember. But it's in New York, not the city. Regular New York. So, drive in, watch this movie. And I could tell, this movie is not made for fans at all. Freddy doesn't even seem to be having any fun. There's none of that, like, the happiness that comes with killing people or the fun of it. It's just like...
Well, no, because it's dark. It's intended to be dark.
Yeah, cold, monotonous killing. The only thing that might bring, like a fan happiness is when they did repeated some iconic scenes and stuff. But even that, like, it had no impact because we saw it already, and it's just like, yeah, wow, look, they're doing the fucking bathtub scene. Oh, and then all of a sudden, Freddy comes through the fucking wall, and it looks like a ridiculously bad CGI, so even that fails. Like, you're doing shit that should be, like, you're throwing fish to seals here, and we're not clapping, you know? Like, it's just not working out. The script is horrendous. The concepts, the micro naps, that was only there so that we could just have Freddy in all these different scenes. And even then, you knew he was coming, so there was no tension or any surprise or anything like that. The kills really are not that creative. The dreams are not, like, out of this world crazy like you would think you'd get in 2010 compared to 84. Like, they're not really that great. You know, and I talked about that with like Exorcist, like the Exorcist, the beginning or whatever, the last Exorcist or whatever. Like, comparing that to the original is like comparing this. It's like 1974 or whatever when the original came out. That had so much more crazy shit than a movie in 2011. Are you fucking with me? Like, how does that happen? So to me, like, if you're not, like, knocking my socks off at this point, something's fucking wrong, man. You got a concept like Freddy Krueger. Like I always said, I love the concept. Freddy is one of the greatest concepts in horror history, bar none. A guy who will get you when you fucking go to sleep. Brilliant. Probably the best concept ever in horror, instead of a monster. You could take Frankenstein. Oh, a guy put together with dead people. That's an amazing concept. Yeah, it is. That's all cool. But Freddy is one of the greatest concepts ever. And I think most of those movies failed for Freddy. And this one, you had a chance to bring new, creative people who could work on this for a couple years and then get the shit out, and you still fucking bring nothing to it, is amazing to me. I can't believe it. Even the casting of Freddy, Jack Earl Haley or whatever, he's a great actor, but he's not Freddy. And even the character, he's just a pervert with no charm, no charisma. He's not even, like, teasing with these guys or fucking with them. It's just like everything about Freddy's not even here. There's just no point to this. Like the changes they made, like the crimes when he was alive and shit like that. It's just very uneasy. It just makes everybody kind of uncomfortable. It's like, what the fuck are we watching here? Like, this is supposed to be escapism, and you're bringing us into, like... And that's cool. I mean, it worked for Silence of the Lambs. You know? Like, that shit happens, and that's all good, but I don't think, at this point, when you got Freddy, it's a fucking clown for the last 5 movies. Do we really want to bring him to this? Does that make any sense to anybody?
Yes.
I'm with you on this, Alex. I know Jamie Jamie hasn't that. Like, firstly, let me just say how honoured I am to be on a podcast with someone that acknowledges that the second Nightmare on Elm Street is a fucking good movie. It's like, and I'll tell you right now, my favourites in order go 3, 2, 1.
Three is my favorite too.
Yeah,
Three is my favorite too.
Absolutely. I don't know if you remember this, Jamie, but when you guys did the retrospective on Devour, and you laid into 2, and I was just like, I don't understand what you don't enjoy about this movie. It is a fucking shitload of fun. Everything about the movie is just fun.
It is not fun. It's stupid.
Oh,
No, it's not.
It's fun. It's a fun fucking movie. And the remake, pretty much everything Alex just touches on is my main problems. They chose a character, they chose an actor who is a really good actor, and for some reason he dials in a really bland performance. They include a sub kind of plot story running through of is he guilty or is he innocent, which I don't like. I think it just muddies the water. I think it's like you don't give too much backstory on your horror villains, because when you do that, I don't want to sympathise with these guys. I don't want to be thinking that Freddy Krueger might not be, guilty, and he might have been, innocently burned. I want to the thing that is most effective about that character is he's everything. He's everything that's wrong. He's every fucking nightmare that you can ever imagine, capitalised in one guy whose his visual persona is basically the visual elements of exactly how fucking nasty the actions he's carried out are. And that's what I really like about it. And I think when they started putting that in, I was like, I don't understand what we're doing here. Are you changing the story? Are you keeping it? I never understood that. The pointless CGI. I mean, even down to that face coming at the wall, that's one of the most iconic scenes in the original. If you're going to do, and I will argue with anyone that says it costs more to put up a plastic sheet and make someone's face come through it, or do it CGI. It's just fucking
I'm
laziness.
with you on that. That is one thing I will back up, is that the fact that they used CGI for that scene was ridiculous. It was, and I have no defense for that.
I don't like the colour schemes in the film as well. It has that kind of Platinum Dunes-esque sort of weird fucking greeny browny vibe, which kind of runs right through that entire movie. I don't like the colour scheme about it. I just think if you were going to reboot that whole franchise and you were going to start again, I don't understand how that is the best movie you can come out to restart that.
Right.
It just felt to me as if someone the passion wasn't there to make that movie, and that's what come across on the screen.
It is a fucking product. That is all this is. A money-making product. Slap a name. Let's have no soul on this movie. Let's have no pun intended. But it's just fucking soulless. Like even the original story gave the glove a meaning. Here, there's like no meaning. Cut up a girl's dress a little bit. I was like, give me a break. Like the backstory is just on shaky ground, man. And the cast, god damn, Nancy seemed like a secondary character who just somehow became the main person. And like I've said this plenty of times, I was way more into Katie Cassidy, who played Tina. Like, there was a segment, I said this before, I would just literally take her segment and just keep that and watch that. And that's the whole movie for me. That's the only good part of the movie. And even, it's just like unbelievable. It's Hollywood ran out of ideas, but it's just like there's just still full of people who are willing to make a buck without the slightest clue as to what they're doing off of a name that is successful. And that's all this movie is. And Jamie, I'm glad you like it. I'm not even trying to convince you or anything like that. I'm just saying that this is terrible.
Anyone who listened to the Devour episode about this knows that I cannot be convinced.
Right, exactly. But Jamie, I want to get down to the true core of you. You're willing. Admit it. The Skeleton Crew. This is where you could be yourself the most ever, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can do. Yeah. I mean, I don't feel. Well, I never hold back, but
yeah, but here there's a certain degree of honesty that is almost nowhere else, because we talk about sexual and all that fucking stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm allowed to let it all hang out here.
Okay, now I want to really get to this with you. Are you sure that maybe you didn't just hate it, and you heard. Remember how I didn't like Friday 3, and it's because everybody was saying, "Oh, this is when Jason became when he became the iconic guy that everybody loves, and this is where he got his mask." And I had a lot of reasons that I began to have a disdain for Friday 3, and they weren't exactly genuine, but they were drawn from other people's reactions more so. Do you wonder? You really don't think this is that great, but there has to be someone in the world that does think it's good, and you didn't think it was as bad as people were saying, so you're almost sticking to your guns unnecessarily and maybe going a little too far with how much you think it's good, and you really don't. Could that be possible?
Nope.
I knew she was going to say that.
No, it's not possible at all. I mean, everything that I stand by with this film, I stand by to this day, and I like the fact that they took it as dark as they did. This is what I want from Freddy. The wisecracking Freddy of the ass end of the Nightmare franchise was on my nerves, and I think trying to bring it back and make it dark is exactly what it needed. I liked the fact that they brought in the creepy as hell sexual element that was always there, but they would never say it before. And it's like, what do we need? I think it makes it even scarier. I think it makes him even worse. I think it makes him even more of the devil. I like the fact that they tried to give us that whole "is he innocent, is he not" thing in the middle. Because for me, when I have a film in front of me that makes me start to question how I feel about the villain, and then I get even deeper involved emotionally, that right there is a film that's doing its job. And I really did. The first time I watched this film, I questioned it. I was like, God damn, maybe... And it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that they would have gone that route, because this is a completely new film. So we know from watching all the other Nightmare films that Freddy is pure evil. So if you're going to do something different here, why not? Why not take that opportunity to maybe make you wonder about the character that you so intimately know, that you know that he is nothing but the devil incarnate. For all these years you've known that, and now they're placing this bit in front of you that makes you question that. I think that's exactly what they needed to do, and I love the fact that they did it. As far as micronaps are concerned, that shit's real. And the fact that they brought it in, it's not technically called micronaps. That is a word that they made up, but physiologically that does happen, and it is a concern. And what they're basically driving home is that he will get you. You have to go to sleep. Your body will betray you eventually, because it's either that or you die. And that's exactly what happens. So you can try your best to stay awake as long as you want, but eventually your body's going to turn against you, because it has to do so to survive. I like the fact that they brought that in. I mean, there really is nothing about this film apart from the CGI, which I totally agree with. I have no defense for that. I hate them for doing that. I do. But other than that, as far as the story elements are concerned, I liked it. And I agree with you about Katie Cassidy. I loved her in this film. I thought she was so hot. And then Nancy was so bland. I was really upset because in the very beginning of the film, like, you're following Katie. It's Katie. It's really awesome because you love her. And then all of a sudden she's gone. And then this person who was seemingly a secondary character is now coming to the head. I like the fact that they did that, because they got me invested in a character to the point where I actually gave a damn when she died. And that's something that horror films don't even try to do all the time. So
Psycho.
So basically everything that you said, there's my counterpoint for it. It has always remained the same. You can actually go back and listen to the Devour show and listen to how vehemently I defended it then, and I still agree with everything I said back then. So, no, it has nothing to do with me wanting to defend a film just because no one else does. You know me. I don't give a shit about that. I don't care what anybody else thinks.
Not that barbaric. I'm just saying, because that would mean I was being barbaric by hating 3 because everybody loved it. No, there's layers to this. There's reasons. There's hidden.
But I mean, every reason that I have for appreciating this film is a solid reason that I have for appreciating this film, and I stand by them.
Okay. Well, I gave my points. Jamie gave hers. Duncan agreed with me. I don't want to monopolize this whole thing with this, but yeah. I'm honestly, Jamie, I'm glad you like it. I mean, somebody had a vision, and it clicked with them enough to make it and have passionate, and I guess there was passion in this, to make it. And it's cool that somebody relates to it, because I relate to fucking weird things too. But this just wasn't one of them, and I did give it another chance. And I was disappointed that the second watch did nothing. It really did nothing to help. But so that's that. So the verdict is 2-1. This is one of the worst horror movies ever, because Jamie lost 2-1. All right, so Duncan. So far, this is the only one that somebody actually defended. All right, Duncan. So what is another pick of yours?
I cannot
if
remember.
One of you pulls out Texas Chainsaw, I'm walking off the show. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
It's funny you should mention that, but Texas, this one, I can't remember if you like this one or not, Jamie, but, and this is completely within your wheelhouse, so I know that you've already done a retrospective on this as well. The Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. I mean, what the actual fuck? Like, seriously, what the actual fuck? Like, see The Howling. I think The Howling is one of the best werewolf movies ever made. I think it is an absolute tour de force of special effects, interesting story, interesting characters. Just a really, really, really good werewolf movie. And then the second one comes out, and it's almost as if everything that happened in that first film, which made it so great, they just went, well, no, we can't do any of that. We just need to do the exact opposite. So, oh man, this film irritates the fuck out of me. Right, so
that's why we're here.
Yeah, so we go from having this really, really cool kind of it's like set in modern times, and everything's like, even though it's in the 80s and you're looking back on it now, it's, you can look at it from a slightly different angle. It's a bit cheesy, but I quite like the fact that they took the werewolf story and put it like in a time that we could relate to, as opposed to previous werewolf movies, which were all set back in medieval times. What? No, I like those.
We love the Werewolf 1941 here.
Oh, I love.
Get out of this dungeon! Get out of here!
Oh no! I love that movie as well, but I like the fact that this one tries to do something a bit more modern with it. Yeah, I mean, even to an extent, American Werewolf.
They play the old movie in the fucking movie.
Well, they do. That's it. I mean, that's testament to how much what's his face, Joe Dante, actually enjoyed the original. And I mean, there's the thing about American Werewolf in London is, whilst it's also set in a modern time, there's a particular feel in that, because it's set in rural England and then eventually into London, which gives it a kind of strange, you're not quite sure what time period it's set in. You don't get that with The Howling. The second one, they just kind of changed that, and they just like that really cool story that we might have, that ending that we had, which was like quite cool at the end of The Howling. They just kind of don't decide to do anything with it. So you end up in a castle, which I don't understand why we need to go back there. I would have much rather just seen a continuation of the story, continue from the events of her declaring that she's a werewolf on camera. That's what I wanted to see. The werewolf effects are nowhere near as good as they were in the original, which baffles me, because in a sequel, the special effects budget's supposed to be better. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? They're not supposed to get worse over time. They're supposed to get better. So I don't get it. It's like
they did continue with the whole. I mean, it was poorly done.
Yes, it was very poorly done.
They continued with the newscast thing, and then Reb Brown showed up as her brother.
Yep.
I mean, it's fucking Reb Brown. I mean,
yes.
Come on! Every 5 minutes, every time he shoots a gun, he has that classic Reb Brown scream. How can you not love that?
I counter that with werewolf sex, Jamie.
Awesome.
Do we need werewolf sex on the screen?
Yes,
I would argue.
Do.
I would argue we don't.
Sybil Danning's tits is what I counter that with.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, if I'm walking along the street, and two dogs are humping, I don't stand and watch them. I keep walking past. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same with the werewolf thing. I don't understand that. And then it's just like there's no like full kind of. Like, we all know through our movies how you kill a werewolf. If memory serves, and I've not seen this movie in a while, do they not try and kill the werewolf with a wooden stake? And do they not also try to use garlic?
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, is that? I mean, they know what a werewolf is. They're not getting,
Apparently not.
Apparently not. Yeah. So yeah, I think when you go from how great that original movie is, and then this is the sequel, I just don't understand it. I really don't. It's probably the same way you feel about Nightmare 2. You're like, that is just stupid. But I love it. That's genuinely how I feel about this movie, is I just think it's stupid. I think they take what's a really interesting concept and they just fuck it up. It's like that first movie, a brilliant movie, let's continue on from it, but let's just completely ruin everything about that first movie.
But it gets worse and worse.
I guess, yeah. That's I could have picked one of the other ones, but I thought I would pick something that was closer to the original. Right. Yeah, basically the point where I see that entire franchise just becoming nonsense. And that's the second one. Your sister is a werewolf.
Second one, Jesus.
It is not the worst, though. The worst film, I call your attention to Howling 7, The Lion Dancing.
What?
I've never seen it.
7?
I've never seen the seventh one. I
there
stopped
are
at
7.
5.
And for anyone who hasn't heard this, I did cover this. I covered the entire Howling franchise on Liking It on the Halloween special episode if you want to check that out. But I love how every time we talk about a movie, I've got something to plug.
Yeah, right? God damn.
But this is not the worst in the franchise, though. And you're right with everything you said. But the thing that saves this film for me is... and as much as I love the original Howling is, in my opinion, the very best werewolf film ever made. Ever. And there is nothing wrong with this film. It is total perfection.
I hated it.
I hated it. I know, hush.
I watched it and I gave it away to fucking Ryan Murphy.
No. Oh, it's so sad. But this has... everything you said is right. I can't argue that. I can't. But it's just got this campiness to it that makes it fun for me to come back to.
Can I ask you a question, Jamie? Right. What do you prefer? Do you prefer Howling 2 or American Werewolf in Paris?
I prefer American Werewolf in Paris.
Right. I'm not saying anything else, because the American Werewolf in Paris is a bad movie. And if you prefer that over the Howling 2, come on, Jamie. Come on.
No, I just don't think it's one of the worst films ever made. I mean, it made a lot of missteps, and it's really poorly done in a lot of ways. And they had some bad ideas, and they didn't really have any clear ideas. And, I'm not saying it's a good movie. I'm not even arguing with you.
What I tried to do, because Alex said, is obviously pick ones that people know. I didn't know there were 7 right, and I'm fairly sure out there that most people didn't know there was 7. So I tried to pick one that would.
I don't think the guy who made it knows there's 7. Because let me tell you, the 7th one is bad. It is beyond bad. It's really fucking bad.
Yeah, I would have never guessed.
That's why I picked it, because I thought people know Howling 2. Everyone knows that, and that to me is. It's a bad movie, sorry.
It's okay. It is okay, because like I said, I don't think it's a good movie. I really don't. But there are some campy redeeming values to it that I find enjoyable, but it's not something that I watch regularly because it's not good.
All right, so Duncan ranted and raved. I'm afraid, Duncan, I cannot be in your corner here. A man who has not seen the movie has no say. So, Jamie, do you agree or not that this is one of the worst horror movies ever?
Well, it is bad. It is bad. I'll give him that. But it's hard for me to say it's one of the worst ever made.
Should he have went with an obvious of that franchise instead of trying to stay so close to
No, I mean, if you're going to go with that franchise, that is the obvious choice.
Okay.
Just based on what people are aware of.
Right.
So,
okay.
He's solid.
So, Jamie, you have the next pick. So now we're down to, we listed 4 of the worst horror movies in the world. Now, Jamie, what is number 5?
A lot of people defend this movie because they say it's so bad that it's good. It's so bad that it's funny. It's an enjoyable watch. Just get drunk. You'll have a good time. Well, I'm here to tell you, I've seen this movie 3 times. And not one of those times did I have a good time.
Could we guess which one? Is it the obvious?
Probably.
Troll 2.
Oh, no. That almost made my list, but no.
What other movie can you say this about? Duncan, you have any idea? What's the...
I should know this, because Jamie will have mentioned this before. I'm trying to think of a movie that you... Oh, wait, don't you dare say Evil Dead 2.
No.
Right, because I was about to hung up.
No. It's Birdemic.
Oh, God. Fuck that movie. Fuck that movie hard.
And let me tell you, the problems with this movie are just off the scale.
Wait, real quick, Jamie, do you realize that you're not quote-unquote getting it? Like, isn't this supposed to be bad, though?
Okay, no.
Like Sharknado?
No, when the guy made this film, he was attempting to make like a real dramatic film. As a matter of fact, he doesn't even consider it a horror film. He calls it like a dramatic. I forget how he calls it. So
this is really serious?
He
was started off with the intention. Yeah, his intents are serious fucking movie, and it just so happens that the guy can't direct a fucking movie, and that's
it's just a product of no talent, is what it is. Because he was seriously trying. But there's everything from the fact that Tippi Hedren is given a credit based on the fact that she's on TV in a hotel room, and that's the extent of her being in this film. Everywhere you look, there are signs and T-shirts for a website that they're trying to promote. Every 5 minutes out of their mouth comes the word global warming out of their mouth. They even in the film, they go to see An Inconvenient Truth. They could not be pushing their agenda any harder if they tattooed it on your forehead when you went to see the movie. I mean, it's bad. The sound is bad. It's completely, there is so little continuity. There is so little actual plot going on. The effects are ridiculous, and the lead character meets a girl who is a Victoria's Secret model. He just made a $10 million deal, and he's driving. He's like, "Oh, I'll pick you up, and we'll go to dinner." And then suddenly they're at this like pumpkin festival, but it's supposed to be July. The time is all off. Everything about this film is completely slipshod and bad. And the worst part is that this was supposed to be a serious film. And it's, and who in the fuck drives around with armed to the gills in their minivan and then pulls over to the side of the road to shoot these birds that are such a menace that ongoing traffic doesn't seem to even notice? I mean, like, these birds that are attacking everyone and shutting down the city, you got people driving by just, chilling. It's their regular day. Nothing's happening while these goons are over here firing off guns on the side of the road. I mean, it's plus they make some really bad decisions. They make some really nonsensical. We're being attacked by birds. Let's go eat outside. Let's go to the beach. There are no birds at the beach. Let's go to the woods. There are no birds in the woods. Let's go. I mean, nothing about, and it is not fun. This film is not fun to watch. You can hear all this and think, oh, that would be so great to sit down and point out and laugh at it. No, because it's so incredibly boring and it's so incredibly stupid that there is nothing redeeming about this film. Nothing. It's bad.
Wow. Well, there's no defense. I mean, as long as you're treating this as a legit film, then yeah, there's no no contesting here. What about you, Duncan?
I'm 100% with Jamie. I've heard this argument so many times. This movie is so bad it's good, and I have said that phrase before in regards to movies, but
which one, Duncan? Tell me. I'd like to know. Do you believe Troll 2 is so bad it's good?
See, I never
There's
understood.
no excuse for vegetarian goblins in a movie called Troll.
Yeah, but the thing is, it was never supposed to be called Troll. It was supposed to be called something completely different. It only got that name at the end. And the best thing that ever come out about that movie was the actual documentary which they made, which is fucking brilliant. It's brilliant. As people try to recapture like the fame that they never got in the first place, and the irony of the situation is they all start off really interested in it, and then they all they see things picking up and there's interest in the movie, and then by about the fourth or fifth stop on their tour, they're all just over it.
Yeah,
they're all just over it. Yeah, they and that's probably, I mean, people, the thing about Birdemic is what I've always been told is people respond really well to it. Like, see when it gets if it gets shown in a theatre or something, people and a group of people sit down and watch it, there's a kind of cathartic laughter that goes round the whole place. People laughing at how bad this movie is. I've only ever seen this movie twice, both times by myself, and I didn't laugh at all at it. All I sat there and thought to myself is, why am I watching this? And the second time, why am I watching it again? I realized it was different.
I keep trying. I've done it 3 times. I'm thinking, you know what? Surely it's not as bad as I remember. Surely it's going to be entertaining because it's so bad. But it's not. It's just it overreaches the so bad that it goes beyond being bad, that it's so bad that it's entertaining. It just is bad.
And it's loved. I can't stress that enough. People love this fucking movie. I mean, it's got cult status. I don't know how it has cult status. I don't get it. And then they made a sequel to it. How can that get a sequel, but Behind the Mask can't get a sequel?
Yeah, right?
How can Sharknado 2 exist and Behind the Mask 2 can't exist? What the fuck?
I don't know. Well, how about this? Okay, let's throw non-horror pop culture so bad it's good. Since we're staying popular here, The Room. Do you guys think that's so bad it's good?
You're tearing me apart.
Oh yeah, that was such a rip-off. Do you know what that line is from?
No.
That's a line from an insanely famous movie called Rebel Without a Cause.
Oh my God, you're right. I never made that. How did I not make that connection? I've actually only seen The Room once, and it was kind of hard to get through. It was because again he was being serious, like he was actually trying to make a good movie.
Yeah, if you want to see an amazing review on that movie, go to theguywiththeglasses.com, Nostalgia Critic.
I actually refer to Birdemic as the Room of Horror. And I honestly put those 2 films together. And I think the first time I watched, well, I've only seen The Room once, but I think the first time I watched Birdemic, I watched it at the same time that I watched The Room, which is why I put them together. I don't know what I was doing to myself. I don't know what that was about. Apparently I was on like a suicide mission or something.
What are you going to do, hang yourself in the same room that everybody cleans out? Jesus Christ. What the fuck's wrong with you? I mean, that would be the 3rd funeral I went to this month if you did that.
Oh.
So, that's 2. We have no arguments. So far, Jamie only argued Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake. That's the only one that has not made the top worst movie list by everybody on the panel. One I always said is absolutely going to make it. So, Duncan, get ready because you're coming up pretty soon because there's not much to rant on. We kind of did it already. But just to make this official list, I have to do it. Otherwise, I'm a fucking hypocrite. Halloween 5 is one of the worst horror movies ever made, ever. And that was the first time I burped in a word on the show. But that was when I feel like I'm fucking Krang from Ninja Turtles or some shit. So, nobody knows that reference. But, yeah, Halloween 5. I mean, Jamie, should we really... Well, me and you did this already, Jamie, on show number 88. Everybody, listen to show number 88. How could you have missed one of our biggest shows? Only an idiot wouldn't know that that would be one of our best shows and try to make us not do it. And show 88 is Halloween versus Friday the 13th franchise. We pit Halloween movies against Friday the 13th in order of how good they were compared to, like, for example, the best would go against the best and the worst would go against the worst to find out who's the best overall franchise. So you got to listen to that show. And we ranted on Halloween 5 over and over. So, Duncan, I'd like to hear your thoughts instead. Halloween 5, you heard that show. Am I wrong about anything?
No, I don't like this movie. Halloween is not one of my favourite horror franchises. I mean, I really like the original movie. I think there'd be something wrong with you if you said that you're a lover of horror movies and you don't appreciate the first movie.
Right.
I think the sequel is one of the strongest sequels that you can get in terms of franchise placement. The 3rd movie, and this is quite funny because when you posted that I was coming on your show and for people to get involved, someone posted that all 10 of his choices would be Season of the Witch.
Nick Maganello.
Yeah, and up until a year and a half ago, I probably would have agreed with him. I remember seeing that movie when I was about 10 or 11, and I remember just being so incredibly pissed off that Michael Myers wasn't in it. I just like at that stage, I was just like, I don't understand why this movie exists. Where's Michael Myers? And that just stuck with me from like being a child. And a friend of myself and Jamie, a guy called Roscoe, that does
Gillian Roscoe.
Yeah, and
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, he had posted. He'd posted. You should do your Scottish impression. It's amazing, Jamie.
Gillian Roscoe's Bodacious Podcast.
Yeah, wait, Jamie, do your one. Go on.
Gillian Roscoe's Bodacious Horror Podcast.
I watched Halloween 3 and I absolutely hate it. It wasn't very good, and the Michael Myers wasn't in it. That sounds like a fucking Beatle or something. All right, go ahead.
So basically, I think they'd posted something about worst sequel in a franchise or something, and I listed about 3, and one of the 3 was Halloween Part 3, and he was like that. He's like, "Oh, you're so wrong about that movie," and I was like, "No, I don't think I am." And he's like, "When was the last time you saw it?" I was like, "Fuck." About 20 years ago. He's like, "You need to go and revisit that." I checked out and absolutely fucking loved it.
Yeah,
loved every second of that movie, right? And the thing that has always stuck with me about the Halloween franchise is why they didn't just keep doing that one-off stories, set in and around Haddonfield, just doing kind of creepy Halloween sort of stuff. I mean, because the story had finished. At the end of 2, the Michael Myers story had come to a natural conclusion. By the time you come to 4, and 4's passable to an extent with me.
Exactly.
There's some elements in 4 that I quite like, some elements I don't like.
Exactly.
When 5 swings around, it's just like, they're just like...
making it to make it.
They're just riding a dead horse. It's just fucking awful, and then it just keeps getting worse. And 5 to me is the point where I'm like, that fuck this franchise. I'm not, you know what I mean? As soon as I saw that movie, I lost any interest. I have seen them all. Some of them I went to see in the cinema. One of them maybe starred Busta Rhymes. But yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it is. I think you could easily argue the case that this one's the worst one out of the whole lot. So yeah. I'm with you 100%. And by the way, let me second exactly what you guys just said. If you've not checked out Friday the 13th versus Halloween retrospective on the Skeleton Crew, then you need to check it out. Fucking brilliant listen. And it went exactly how I wanted it to go. So you got no negative feedback from me. So
thanks, brother.
Cool. I agree with Duncan. The first 3 are super solid. You know how I feel about Halloween 2. I fucking love Halloween 2. Okay, and Halloween 3, well, that's just... Halloween 3 consistently beat out. It's the only one, and the original were the only ones to beat out any of the franchise and any of the Friday films. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason for that. Once you get past 3, 4, I agree, is passable to an extent. 5 is just straight downhill from there. I personally think 6 is the worst of the franchise. I fucking hate 6, but 5 is the film where Michael takes a nap in a cabin by the river. So I don't even get that. So it's like, I have no argument here. None. You have my complete support on your choice for this film.
It's like Duncan said, this is the one. Halloween 4 is, to me, I'm sorry, man, nostalgia means a lot. I love Jamie Lloyd. I love fucking, like, the guy in the car, that old guy, whatever his name is, Pastor or something. I love Loomis in that movie. There's a lot of things. I love the cop, whatever the fuck his name is. I don't know. I'm drunk. But, like, I love a lot of those people. The Mask was insanely bad. The story kind of dragged around the part where Jamie was lost in the middle of nowhere in Haddonfield. Just really went nowhere. Michael wasn't Michael. Michael doesn't walk on roofs. He doesn't do a lot of shit that happened in that movie. But there's a definite thing of nostalgia. I think that's what Duncan's saying. It's passable. Mm-hmm. Definitely. And the ending is amazing. So when you get to Halloween 5, that's, even Mustafa Akkad literally was apologizing for that movie on the Halloween, what's that called? 25 Years of Terror?
Yeah.
He apologized. He said, "I'm sorry. We just rushed it out." I mean, who's going to argue with me here? Just Jason Lloyd, no one else. It's just crazy. He's the only one. I don't think anybody's defending this fucking. I don't think we have to go on here. So we can just move on now to Duncan.
Right, this one is no surprise at all to anyone who has existed for the last 15 years.
I've been here.
This is also a remake. There's this movie that came out in the 70s in the UK, right? It was made in the UK, and it was phenomenal, right? It's not, I mean, the director himself said it wasn't a horror movie. Some people could argue it's
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, some people would argue that it's some sort of weird musical. And I could maybe see where they're coming from. It has one of the truly most iconic endings to a horror movie of absolutely all time. And that movie was The Wicker Man, right? It was fucking absolutely amazing. So, at some point, someone decided that it'd be a great idea to revisit that. And they recast the role of Edward Woodward, who's fucking phenomenal in the original Wicker Man, and they give it to
Nicolas Cage, baby.
Yep, Nicolas Cage.
His hair is a bird.
And they set it on a remote island on the coast of America, because America has shitloads of them. You know what I mean? That's like
Scotland wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I mean, we have about 1 million mini islands around our country. There aren't many around America. We call those mini islands around America countries. You know what I mean? So yeah, right. So that's the first thing that happens, right? And then they put him on the island. The island that has no cell connection at all. He can't use his mobile phone. However, at the beginning of the movie, he manages to find that the island has a website. Right? So I don't know who's maintaining that website, but it's clearly not maintained on the island. So they changed things around. The original movie is all to do with not, I was going to say a cult. It's not. It's a religious sect, basically, of people that kind of follow the kind of pagan lifestyle and all the rest. No, we changed that. What we get is this weird fucking island of like dominant women, which, you know, is really strange, and all any of the men that are on the island at all are almost emasculated, and it's strange, and the whole thing to do with the harvest has changed to do with bees, which apparently Nicolas not the bees. Nicolas Cage doesn't like bees. I don't think anyone really likes bees.
Mark Wahlberg does. Did you see The Happening?
Okay.
He's devastated about the bees.
Not the bees. The whole kind of aspect of the original film is there's a quirky surrealism to do with the kind of naked dances and the kind of the rites,
the naked dances.
Yeah, that they do on the island. That's gone in the remake, and you get this really kind of, oh my god, you get a sequence where Nicolas Cage commandeers a bike off someone. You know, madam, I'm a police officer, step away from the bike. He drop kicks a woman through a wall. I mean, because that's a thing. There's one sequence.
That's the thing to do.
There's one sequence where he basically runs from room to room, just punching out women. Like, run into a room, punch a woman, turn around, drop kick a woman. It's just fucking ridiculous. And then what they do is, they have that iconic Wicker Man sequence at the end. And what sells the original movie is that when you see Edward Woodward come over the hill and the Wicker Man stands like on the hill in front of him, and the realization sinks in with him and the audience at exactly the same time that he's going to be burned alive, that is something truly fucking horrific. And this movie, I saw this. They do the same sequence pretty much. Couldn't give a fuck. Burn Nicolas Cage. Literally how I feel about that movie. It's just horrendous. It's absolutely fucking horrendous, and I don't understand what anyone thought they could bring to that story at all. It fails on every single level. So yeah, Wicker Man remake. Fuck that movie. It's fucking awful. Oh, the bees.
The bees!
The bees!
This is another review you could, full review you could watch on the Nostalgia Critic, GodTheGlass.com. He did, so, Duncan, if you really hate this movie...
I'm checking that out. I'm going to check that out for sure.
Jamie, what do you think?
Oh, I have to agree. That almost made my list. As much love as I have for the original film, and there is a lot of it, this was managed to capture absolutely none of what was good about it, and it completely missed the point. I mean, it just dove off into it's like we're heading straight forward for it. We're getting in a car, we're driving straight for the point of this film, and then it just veers off and drives off the bridge. And so, yeah, it's bad. And that's in the first, like, the opening titles. I mean, like, they never really had it.
Yeah, they never recover from the opening titles.
Oh man, it's honestly, yeah, my God, I remember I went to see that movie in the cinema, right? And I love The Wicker Man. The Wicker Man's like, probably in my top 10 horror movies of all time. I think it's just like an absolute masterclass in fucking really weird, surreal cinema. And then I can't remember what made me think I actually thought the movie was going to be good. I think the director's name escapes me, but I remember the director had done quite interesting films before.
His name is Tommy Wiseau.
And I was just like, I don't know. And then I went to see that movie, and oh my God, I was about maybe 10 minutes into it, and then the penny dropped that this was going to be an experience that I didn't want to remember. And no matter how much alcohol I drink, it's still not managed to kill the brain cells that fucking retain that memory. That movie.
Darling, you're Scottish. That does not work for you.
It does. We're immune.
Yeah, you are immune.
It's not stopped me trying.
We gotta bang your head into a wall. You need like another level. That fucking shit won't do shit. Yeah, man. It's like, yeah, you gotta remove. That's what it is. You have to remove certain brain cells to enjoy a movie sometimes, and that fucking there's not enough in your head to get rid of. But yeah, no argument from me. Jamie is on the same boat.
Well thought out little tidbits that go on in the first film that are just, it's constructed beautifully. And in the remake of this, they completely just came at it with a sledgehammer and missed the whole fucking point. They had no idea what they were doing. They had not a clue. Not a clue.
Well, there you go. It's 3-0. This is one of the worst horror movies ever made. We'll be right back.
You're no saint. You got a free cab, you got a free room, and someone who'll listen to your boring stories. I mean, didn't you notice on the plane when you started talking, eventually I started reading the vomit bag? Didn't that give you some sort of clue, like, hey, maybe this guy's not enjoying it? You know, everything is not an anecdote. You have to discriminate. You choose things that are funny or mildly amusing or interesting. You're a miracle. Your stories have none of that. They're not even amusing accidentally. Honey, I'd like you to meet Del Griffith. He's got some amusing anecdotes for you. Oh, and here's a gun so you can blow your brains out. You'll thank me for it. I could tolerate any insurance seminar. For days, I could sit there and listen to them go on and on with a big smile on my face. They'd say, how can you stand it? And I'd say, because I've been with Del Griffith. I can take anything. And you know what they'd say? They'd say, I know what you mean. The shower curtain ring guy. Whoa. It's like going on a date with a chatty Cathy doll. I expect you to have a little string on your chest, you know, that I pull out and have to snap back. Except I wouldn't pull it out and snap it back. You would. And by the way, you know, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Shut up! Wait, guys, I have breaking news. We have our first listener who got a Skeleton Crew tattoo.
What?
Really? That is fucking awesome.
Who got a Skeleton Crew tattoo?
Oh my god. Jody Oster.
Jordy. His name is Jordy.
Oh, right.
Jesus. Get it removed, Jordy. It's not worth it.
No, I just wanted to add him to those names. So we're forgetting the R on your name, and Jody, we're going to call you. One of them is a banana with laser shooting out of its eyes, and the other one is a skull with TSC on the bottom.
That's cool as fuck. It's cool as fuck.
Yay! That's awesome.
There's no bottom jaw to the skull. Wow.
That's awesome.
Can you imagine this?
I love
You're the only podcast I know, and I listen to a fucking shitload of podcasts. You're the only podcast that I know, other than BananaLaser, obviously, because you mentioned that as well just now. Only podcast I know that has one of their listeners getting a tattoo of that podcast on them. That's cool as fuck.
Holy shit. Gee, I feel like guilty for leaving now. Well, we're going to wrap it up in 7 shows. We hope you're... Okay, so we'll see...
Enjoy that tattoo for the next 7 shows. No, that's awesome. That really warms the cockles.
Jordy, thank you very much. And we're glad we got to get this out live. So now the show is dated, of course. Yes, we recorded on August 14th. But, yeah, that's just this segment, though. All the rest was brand new.
Did he post it?
Oh, yeah, he posted it.
I want to see. Okay.
Oh, my God. Thanks, bro, man. I mean, I can't believe that. Now he's stuck with it for life.
That's awesome.
Unbelievable. What's he going to do when he's 60 years old and he looks down at his foot, which he'll probably never do? Wait, what is this on? I'm trying to find... What the fuck is this on? It doesn't look like a human foot.
No, I think that's on the side of his thumb. Is it on his thumb?
Oh,
possible?
his big toe.
It's on his big toe. Sore.
We are on his left big toe.
That's cool as fuck.
Holy shit. Pay up, Wazelle. 30 minutes old, still healing, but you'll get the picture. And he posted this 4 hours ago. Jesus Christ. What the fuck was I doing all day? So it's 4 hours and 30 minutes ago. He was sitting in a chair and got the Skeleton Crew tattooed into his foot. Unbelievable.
I love it.
Love it. Thank you. My hat's off to you, brother. My hat's off to you. The Skeleton Crew encourages you to talk to your kids about masturbation, but not while they're doing it.
Once you shut the fuck up and just get fucked.
Scott?
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Scott?
I want to hear your fucking lip. You're only fucking 18.
Scott? Can I come in?
No, Dad. No, I'm doing something in here.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Eager sluts. Nothing better than 18-year-old eager little fucking whore.
All set.
You may be surprised. Whatever it is, son, you can tell me. I'll understand.
No, Dad. No, not this time.
Yeah. Just fucking cum receptacle bitches.
Scott Howard, this is your father speaking. Now open this door right this minute.
Okay, Dad.
Yeah.
You asked for it.
Stick your fingers in your cunt. Relax. Yeah, bitch. That's better.
An explanation is probably long overdue.
An explanation? Jesus Christ, Dad, an explanation? Look at me. Look at you.
It's not as bad as it looks.
Wait a minute, Dad. You mean you knew about this? You knew about this and you didn't tell me?
I was hoping I wouldn't have to. Sometimes it skips a generation. I was hoping it would pass you by.
Well, Dad, it didn't pass me by. It landed on my face. What the hell am I gonna do?
Scott, we really need to talk about this.
Forget it, Dad. I don't want to talk. Go away.
Oh, yeah, dropping fucking loads all over your fucking faces. Yeah.
And what is the 5th worst horror movie of all time?
Okay. This one, good God. All right, this comes from a director who pretends that he makes horror films, but really he makes softcore porn films, and he actually does make softcore porn films under various different names. I don't know why he doesn't just go that way all the time, because that's clearly what he wants to do. But this film is Sorority House Massacre 2.
I knew this was coming.
Which was made by Jim Wynorski, and this isn't even a horror film. Like, there is nothing slashery about it. Everything horror. You got plenty of tits. You got 5 sets of tits in a row, because he's basically ticking off the boxes going, okay, now you, now you, now you, now you. He just makes it so you get all the tits. But every kill takes place off screen. There is, except for the end you get a little bit, but for the most part there's nothing on screen. There's nothing horrific. There's nothing, he doesn't even really try. This is basically just a way to show some tits. But the most egregious thing about this film is that he, who is one of the most misogynistic directors out there, has the nerve to pull scenes from Slumber Party Massacre, a completely different franchise. He pulls scenes from Slumber Party Massacre to insert them into Sorority House Massacre 2 as if they were part of the past of what's going on in this film. And the problem with that is that Slumber Party Massacre is one of the best slashers out there, and it also has a very feminist slant, which is beautifully done. It's an amazing film, and he had the nerve to take footage from this film and stick it into his film, which is nothing but tripe. And he was able to do that because they were both produced by Roger Corman. No big surprise there. Once you watch this film, it won't surprise you at all that Roger Corman had his hand in it. It's got nothing. And honestly, even the tits aren't good. These are not women that I'm going to be begging to live. And I don't think that, you need to judge women based solely on looks or anything like that. But if you're going to be in a film where that's all there is, then make it good. And there's a scene that takes place in a strip club with some of the worst strippers you've ever seen in your life. They give strippers a bad name. I love strippers. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But these women they have no idea what they're doing. You've
clearly never been in a Scottish strip club.
And it's true. But it's bad. It's not entertaining. The tits can't even save it. And there is the worst part about it, apart from the fact that they pulled from an amazing slasher, is that there is no slasher in this slasher. There's no slashing. It's just bad. No, there's actually like a throat slit and stuff, but you don't see it. It's like you get some spray on a wall that looks as if they squirted it out of a ketchup bottle, and like a squeeze bottle. It's not convincing. They don't even try. There is no horror element. It just doesn't exist, and he is fooling everyone by pretending that he's actually attempting to make a horror film. Shame on you, Jim Wynorski. Shame on you.
Exactly. Duncan, do you have any objection?
No, because I checked out this movie after you guys reviewed it recently on Devour, and yeah, it's pretty much everything that Jamie says is a completely pointless exercise in putting tits on the screen. That's really it. I suppose the internet wasn't around when this movie came out.
It's 91, so this is a 14-year-old boy's dream.
Yes. Well then, for that reason alone, I respect this movie, and I will go against the two of you, and it will be a 2-1 decision. Because I was a 14-year-old boy once, and yes, I grew up in the age where you watch scrambled porn, and that was my life.
Too, and that was better than this.
Well, I did it. I remember, man, I was so happy. I was like, is that a nipple or an elbow? I was very happy to see something. And, yes. If that's true, then I completely condone this movie. She is wrong. Duncan's wrong. For a 1980s child, this is an excellent movie. So it's 2-1.
Go watch this movie and then you tell me. It sucks.
I think I really did see it, but I forgot.
Sucks.
But whatever, fine. So that's the 5th worst. Who's up now? Me?
Yes.
My third pick, I guess, is Psycho, the remake of Psycho. We covered Psycho remake. We did the Skeleton Crew, the show you're listening to right now. We did Psycho versus Psycho on show.
If you don't remember what that show is, check Geordie's Toe.
Yes. Yeah. Geordie's Toe will let you know which show you're listening to. Skeleton Crew number 17, Psycho 1960 versus Psycho 1998. We addressed Psycho the remake and got very into it, but we're going to touch on it now with a couple new perspectives, which is Duncan and Jamie, who were not there. So Psycho 1998 is a remake of the original, and back then... Now, guys, this is a normal thing. I'm going to say no, but back then... Okay, let's face it, remakes have been happening. Hammer movies obviously remade Frankenstein and Dracula and all that kind of type of bullshit. Mm-hmm. Vanilla Sky is a remake. Remakes are not new. It only took over the horror world after Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But it was going on well before that. Duncan mentioned it on his second to last show. House on Haunted Hill is a remake.
Yep.
13 Ghosts. And that stuff was early 2000, even into the 90s. I think House on Haunted Hill was 99, right?
It was 99, yeah. 1999, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. So this is nothing new. But back then it was. So my question is, was it the general consensus that if you remake a movie, you just shoot the same exact movie?
No.
So this is completely unique.
Yes.
Yeah, because, movies, like, when you did your Cronenberg retrospective, you discussed The Fly. The Fly is a remake, and The Fly is a completely different movie than the original Fly. This is, there's a couple of things here, right? One, Gus Van Sant directing it, who likes to think of himself as quite arty, let's put it that way. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. I never understood the reason for doing a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho, other than the fact that someone could have a coloured version of it. So you would have your everything shot in colour. That is the only justification I ever thought someone would ever, do a shot-for-shot remake on this one. But, as you discussed, Alex, on your show, it's not entirely a shot-for-shot remake, because they insert a particular sequence which is really fucking uncomfortable and shouldn't be there.
And really unnecessary. We all know what boys do when they look at women through holes. We get it. We're grown-ups. We understand. He's whipping his pud. We know. We don't have to show it to us.
No, Jamie, it's beyond that. It's beyond that, Jamie.
What?
Not only is it we do not have to watch this, but number two, it makes no sense. The mythos of Norman Bates is that when he gets these urges for women, Mother takes over, and that's when he kills
And Mother's
them.
not going to be giving him a hand job.
Exactly.
Nasty.
So it makes 0 sense to even jerk off. So it is just a moron. There's nothing really turning, no wheels are really turning in his head to generate anything worthwhile. So that's why he would do something shot for shot. And then the one time he does decide to use his pinhead brain is he inserts something that clearly does not understand the fucking character. He's a moron. Mm-hmm. I mean, it couldn't. If you wanted, I want proof this guy's an idiot, just watch the movie and look what he added to it. He doesn't know anything about Norman Bates. Nothing.
Yeah, and I always looked at it as everyone knows damn well you cannot out Hitchcock. There's no point in trying.
Yeah, there's no point.
So the only way to remake a Hitchcock film is to do exactly what he did, because he did it perfectly the first time. Well, then it renders it completely pointless. because there's no need. If Hitchcock did everything Hitchcock needed to do, he understood the fucking character, he got it right, and this guy comes along and like you said, inserted something that has no bearing on the character whatsoever. It pretty much flies in the face of everything that propels this character.
And all the actors as well. All the actors in this movie are fucking dialing it in big time. I mean, you have William H. Macy, who is an actor I genuinely love. I think he tends to be one of the highlights of, if his name's attached to a movie, I'll check it out, because I know he will bring a particular style, a particular oddball style to the movie, which I will appreciate regardless if the movie's shit or not. He is so fucking bland in this movie. It is unbelievable.
Oh my God.
I was going to say, you've got Vince Vaughn as well. Now, Vince Vaughn's coming off... this is Vince Vaughn in the 90s when he was, like, not doing just generic shite comedies. This is, like, when he was actually, like, a good actor. You're talking, like, Swingers, that sort of level of things, that around that era. He comes in, and when I heard that he was cast, I was like, that's quite interesting. I think that could be quite interesting. Look, because he's not the clean-cut poster boy that Anthony Perkins was. You know what I mean? There's something a wee bit edgy about him, in terms of how he looks, in terms of how he acts. And
once again, missing the point.
Yeah, he comes on screen, and I'm just like, and that's the point. He's an edgy-looking character, and they try and play him as the boy next door, and it doesn't fucking work.
And Anne Heche is no Janet Leigh.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Go munch a carpet, you bitch. It's just like, it's unbelievable. And even, I love how you brought up William H. Macy, because when we had Rob G on the show, he actually defended William H. Macy's performance and said, like, that was one of the good parts. I'm sorry. When you have Arbogast. When you have Arbogast, the original guy, and I did know his name at one point. It was... I don't remember. He was so menacing. Just the look of his face, the way he stared deadpan into the camera, the way he stepped on Norman's lines, everything about him, you felt like you were in the hot seat every fucking second. And as... you are supposed to, at the point Janet Leigh dies, and then that car does not go down right away, and it seems like it's going to stick out of the swamp, that's when the audience turns to Norman's point of view, and you're like, oh God, go down, come on. And then all of a sudden it goes down, and you feel relieved. Now you're in Norman's shoes at that point. Now, when you're in his shoes, and this fucking guy shows up, it's like, oh, fuck, I'm on the hot seat. Oh, God, say the right answer. And like, you live that shit with Norman. With this guy, there's nothing menacing at all. There's nothing imposing. He's not going to fuck my life up. And that's how you felt when Arbogast originally was there. You felt, this guy's going to fuck my life up. God damn it. Don't fuck up, please, when you're answering these questions. And this guy did not convey that at all, William H. Macy. He just dialed that shit in. It's bullshit. It was worse than the skit me and Dave did. Yeah, I just think it's... And I mean, much respect to Rob G. The guy is almost like a walking encyclopedia for the Psycho franchise and, everything that's associated with that. But yeah, I just don't see how anyone can defend that acting role. I just think everyone in this movie genuinely, and I don't know if I'm quoting something that you guys said on your show, but I've once heard this said about this movie, and I totally agree with it. It almost feels like the actors have shown up without knowing what their lines are, and someone has a giant card with the lines in the back behind the camera, and they're just reading them off the card. Honestly, it's that sort of... Every single actor has this kind of vague look of, it's almost as if they've just suddenly realised that they've left their back door unlocked. The pennies... Yeah, they all just look... It's just a really strange... And the thing about Psycho is, and I mean, you can't oversell that movie enough. That is probably one of the finest horror movies ever fucking made. And then you get that. And this is what we're saying before. Someone decides, I'm going to remake this movie.
well, if you're going to remake it, bring something new to the table. And they do a shot-for-shot remake, which isn't a shot-for-shot, and then they put actors that shouldn't be in it, and it's just an uncomfortable mess.
I said a long time ago I wanted to die, but without watching this movie. I really did. I was hoping to die and say I never watched the remake. But these guys dragged me into it. I watched the remake. Whew! Never again. Terrible movie. Jamie, do you have any opposing thoughts?
Oh, hell no.
Is there anything you want to elaborate on or disagree with?
Nope. You got it.
Alrighty. That is Psycho 98. That is one of my picks. I think that's the 6th movie we picked. So now we're down to the top 4 worst horror movies of all time. I believe we are back to Duncan.
Right, yeah. So I'm gonna go with one which is slightly controversial, because I think this movie is maybe 2/3 of a really good movie, and the last third is something that actually physically made me shout out in the cinema when I saw it.
Wow.
So yeah, it takes well, it doesn't take a lot for me to shout. But I went to see this movie called The Last Exorcism, right? It's a found footage film, and the premise of this movie was sold. I think it was Eli Roth was involved with this on some level, and maybe a producer or something on it. And I remember seeing the trailer and thinking, this is genuinely creepy as fuck. This is exactly the sort of movie I want to see. It's got possession in it. It looks like it, it's going back to the kind of the roots of the Exorcist. It looks like it has all these things going on in it, right? So
really?
I went to see this movie, and I sat and I was kind of liking the idea that the main character is a fake, a fraud, and, he's going to prove that he's a fraud. And, of course, in classic horror fashion, when anyone wants to do that, that's when the real fucking thing's going to happen, the real McCoy. So you get this scenario of he basically goes out and finds that the person he is actually out to look into is actually possessed. But there's a particular moment in this movie, and I remember it clear as day. I was sitting in the cinema with my wife, and they're in a room, and there's a lot of hand-drawn kind of paintings on the wall, and the camera pans round, and you see one, and it's a giant bonfire and what looks like a fire demon. And I turned around to my wife and I said, if this movie ends up with a lot of people running and screaming in the woods with a fucking fire demon, I'm going to be absolutely fucking... I'm gonna lose it. And my wife was like, no, I'm sure it's not gonna. I was like, I'm telling you, if that's how this movie ends, and this movie ends with people running around with the woods, and as soon as I saw that fire demon, I shit you not, in the middle of the cinema, I went, oh, fuck off. Like that, loud, like really loud. Everyone stared at me. And I was just like, oh, fuck this shit. Honestly, and I went into a rant, basically, in the cinema. This movie is almost a competent horror movie, except for the fact that it basically shits the bed in the last 15 minutes and gives you an ending which is completely nonsensical, unsatisfying, and just not very well thought out. It's a lazy ending. The rest of the movie works to build up suspense.
Whoa. Dude, are you serious?
Well, I think the rest of the movie actually works quite well. I think... I think there's a lot...
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think the rest of the movie... When I saw this movie, I thought that the story was quite clever. I thought a lot of what happened in the movie... because you don't... At first, it's played off that you don't actually know that the girl is possessed. It could just be her family saying that she is, and then her family don't want you there, which kind of increases things. And then there's an idea that potentially the child's being mistreated, and that's what quite fascinated me. It's not she's possessed right at the beginning, like you would get in a Paranormal Activity. Oh well, this house is haunted, and then let's spend time watching how this house is haunted. The fact about the movie that worked for me was the fact that it subtly built up this: is she, isn't she? What's going on? Is it the family? Is it her? Or even could she just be mentally ill? All these sort of things. it builds up to a certain point, and then the movie almost feels like instead of giving you an answer, they have to make it so ridiculous and so over the top, or you won't buy it. And that to me is just nonsense. I think when the movie's working at its best, it's not with jump scares or anything like that. It's the very powerful story about a guy who's a fraud, who is basically, you know, trying to prove that he is a fraud, and he's coming across a scenario where there is a girl who's trapped in a house, and you don't know if there's something wrong with her or there's something wrong with the family. And that to me that's an interesting fucking story. Give me a full movie of that. They don't do that. They cop out in the last 15 minutes and feel the need to give you a really watered down Blair Witch ending, and it annoys the fuck out of me.
Wow. I have to watch this again because all I remember, I remember watching, well, I remember the night of watching this movie, and I remember I was at a party afterwards. Mm-hmm. I forgot what the party was for. And all I remember was I belonged to a horror podcast at the time, 2011. You know, I talked about it, Rabbit and Red and all that. So I remember I couldn't wait to get on that show and review this movie. And I was on a cell phone in the middle of the street, and that's how we did it back then. And I remember just ranting about this and saying, maybe I just saw it from a very simplistic, like, I don't know what I was doing at the time, but I saw it in the theater, and all I can remember is the disappointing shit. Like, I've said this about 2 times on the show already. Like, you hear all this crazy noise, and you go upstairs, and you expect some fucking amazing, shocking moment, and all you see is a girl sitting on top of a fucking shelf, and then, like, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all there is. And then the next time something big's supposed to happen, it's like you sat through this whole thing, and then the next big scene, she's in a barn and leaning backwards in an awkward way and talking in the language or something. It's like, what the fuck? Like, dude, that's what I said earlier on the show. It's 30 years later or more or whatever. Like, I forgot what the other one was made, but all you got is a girl on a shelf and someone talking bent over. Like, what the fuck is this?
I can completely understand that because I mean, the way it was advertised was something different from what the film ended up being. I mean, the advertisement for it, the whole trailer, is a series of very quickly put together, intense scenes of a girl being possessed. That the assumption would be that they would get right into that quite early in the movie. That to me is not the interesting aspect about the story, though. The interesting aspect about the story is all the subtlety in that movie, and that's why I think that's probably why I reacted so fucking angrily to the end. Is that to me the movie has all these really quiet nuances which you don't get in found footage movies. I mean, it takes the time to really kind of almost like play out. I mean, there's a certain degree of sympathy for this girl, which you generally don't get when you watch found footage movies. And like I say, the questions that, you know, what's happening behind closed doors, what is actually wrong with this girl, all these sort of things. And that was really fascinating to me. And I was totally dragged in, and I wanted to know. And then the movie, for whatever reason, it just felt the need to really just do what every other found footage movie does. And I'm like, no, you had me in my seat, you had me engrossed with a story which was quite interesting, something I've not seen before, and then you just go with the generic ending. I mean, I wouldn't advocate going back to watch the film because, like I say, the last 20 minutes is just fucking upsetting. But I mean, if you check it, if you ever do get a chance to check it again, and you just, if you instead of looking at it from the point of view of the people filming it, look at it from the point of view of the people in the house and the girl, and the first 2/3 of that movie, yeah, there's some creepy things happening and all the rest, but there's this kind of underlying story of, you know, is everything as it's supposed to be, or, you know, because the family are quite weird in it as well, because one of them's like, oh yeah, she's possessed, and then the brother's like, no, don't come anywhere near this house, don't act up on it because that's what my parents want. And that's what I really liked about it. But because that ending upset me that much, it dragged everything that movie built up. That ending shatters, and what you get at the end of it is a fucking awful movie.
Wow. Well, I agree, but I guess we have different reasons. I saw it from a different point of view, different time, different circumstance. I honestly don't remember really too much. All I remember is hating it, and the reason, like some of the bigger points of why I don't, Obviously, you have a much better, but you still hated it.
Oh yeah, that all goodwill that movie had was destroyed in the end.
All right, good. Well, then I'm never wrong yet.
No, you're not.
All right, Jamie, how do you feel about? Do you agree? Disagree?
I pretty much agree with everything that Duncan said. I loved Cotton in this
Cotton
film.
Weary?
No. the preacher in this film. The fraud. I loved his performance. I loved the beginning of this film where he's going through and he's talking about he's doing the little looks at the camera, like when he starts talking, like when he is in church and he's giving his grandmother's banana bread recipe.
That's amazing.
And then he sort of gives that sideways glance to the camera, like, see what I mean? Like, I can say whatever I want. I can talk about nothing, and these people are here. They're on my – and that is brilliant. It's amazing. His performance is so outstanding. I love this guy. I love the actor. I love the character. I love everything about it.
Liev Schreiber's that great to you?
And then I actually do like Liev Schreiber, but anyway. And then the end of this film is so completely disappointing compared with what we got in the first 2/3 of this film, that it just goes completely downhill, and it makes me very unhappy. But it made all the more worse by the fact that I loved what came before as much as I did, and I was completely invested. So the second I watched this in the theater, and I was just like blah 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 when I walked out. Okay, well then when I watched it again, I watched it at home, and I'm like, God, why did I hate this movie so much? As I'm watching it, why did I hate this movie? This is so good. Like this performance is amazing. This guy is phenomenal. I love this guy. And then we got to the end, and I was like, oh yeah, that's why.
That's why. Yeah.
That's why. So no, I can't disagree.
All right, there you have it. So we are rounding it down now, guys. So Jamie, so it's going to be Jamie, me, and then Duncan's going to have the last one. I'm sorry if you guys have a lot more. It's just that I thought we would.
Two more.
Okay, good. I thought we would double up.
Well, Duncan, you actually took one of his. So do you have?
So that's good. How many do you have, Duncan?
I have one left now.
Okay. So yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, and that makes this hard for me then, because
You have to pick one, right?
I have to pick one of these two, and it's.
We'll give an honorable mention and then do it.
Okay. All right. Well, then my honorable mention is Jerry Vitetta is going to be so upset. He's going to shit when I talk about this movie.
Oh, don't upset Jerry.
I'm sorry, Jerry. I'm sorry. But Murder Set Pieces is not a good film. Murder Set Pieces.
I'm lost, Jamie. What is this?
Murder Set Pieces is a film. I don't even fucking know, man. It centers around this guy who is a Nazi solely because Nazi equals bad guy. That's basically like what. See, this guy's a bad guy. It's Nazi. All right, he's a killer. There's some really horrible. There's nothing to that. I mean. It is so hard. It was so boring. It was so hard for me to get through this because there's nothing going on except some really bad scenes and purple fucking blood. I hate purple blood. I hate it. And so,
well, blood's blue actually when it's inside the.
Right, and then when it hits the air, it turns red. Yeah. Give me crayon bright red Italian blood any day.
Oh God.
Give me Dawn of the Dead blood. Give me Argento. Give me Pieces blood. I love the blood in Pieces. I love, give it to me. I take it. I love it. I eat it. Okay.
Dawn of the Dead blood is the worst.
Stop it. Give me, I love me some melted crayons. Give me purple blood. I will throw you out the window. It is so bad.
Is it really purple?
It's like magenta. It's really not realistic at all. And this is, I think this is a toe tag pictures.
No.
And it's just, there's just nothing to it. I mean, it's just one scene after another with everything covered in blood and some brutal, torture supposedly, but it's not really believable. It's not really disturbing. It's not really scary. There's absolutely no emotional response that it garners from me in any way imaginable. And it is it was a total waste of my time. I feel now there are people who enjoy it. One of them being Jerry, and we actually had this discussion when I watched this film. We got into a discussion on my Facebook page, and I know that he does, and that's great. But I just find nothing worthwhile about this film because there is absolutely there's nothing holding it together. There's no real strong story or plot. It's just things. It's just stuff, and.
Jamie, you realize I'm meeting Jerry on August 15th, right?
All right. Well, then don't let him hit you because I said this. Well, that's my honorable mention, though. But to me, rounding it out, again, Jerry, I'm so sorry.
Uh-oh. Wait. So you're telling me your top 3 pick is another Jerry favorite?
My number one is this. Oh God, I hate this movie so much. And this is. I'm sorry, Jerry. But August Underground, Mortem. That's the second installment in the August Underground series. And I'll give you a reason why I gave the second one as being the worst film ever. I actually am willing to give them a pass for the reasons behind making the original August Underground. As many problems as I have with it, I understand what he's saying when he's like, I want to make it as realistic as possible, and I want, and if someone is actually tied to a chair for 4 days, they're going to use the bathroom, they're going to, all of these horrible things are going to happen. That makes it realistic. Okay, yeah, I get that. And I personally think that it would have been a more effective film if it was about 15 minutes long. That's enough to get the point across. You don't have to drag us through 90-plus minutes of watching serial killers with their home movies, which again is just really boring. I mean, it doesn't engage me. It doesn't disturb me. It doesn't make me cringe. It doesn't do any of that. It doesn't elicit any of the responses that he's attempting to elicit. All it elicits from me is boredom. So, but even then, with the first one, I'm willing to give you that because you're trying to make a point, and I'm like, okay, you made your point. I get it. You get a pass. But then when you take that and you decide we're going to make 2 more, we're going to turn this into a trilogy, and then so you get into the second one, which is called Mortem, or as I like to call it, More Dumb. It's just more of the same with nothing redeeming. There's nothing interesting about these characters.
So it's like Chrome Skull 2 then.
There's nothing entertaining. There's nothing disturbing. There's nothing like there. There's not even a message. There's really I can't look at this film and say, yes, this needed to be made. This is how bad this series is. When we cover this on Devour, Bo opted out. Like, he wouldn't even do this retrospective. After the first one, he's like, I'm done. And he opted to watch an asylum film as punishment instead of continuing through this series. David and I continued. We watched the second one, and then we both bailed on the third one because we just didn't want to do it anymore. And it's not like it's so hardcore that I can't take it. It's so incredibly boring.
And Jerry loves these?
Yeah, he does. And he appreciates the realism that they're trying to go for, and I understand that. But it's just there's no plot, there's no story, there's no real character. These are just random and the idea behind them is that it's, you find this videotape and you don't know what's on it, so you play it, and it turns out that it's home movies of these people who are actual serial killers, and they're doing all these horrific things to people, and that's the idea. However, after about 10 minutes or so, it's just like, oh, okay, I get it. And then I find myself fast-forwarding through it, waiting to see for something else, something interesting to happen, and nothing interesting really happens. It's just vile, but not even so vile that it can get under my skin. It's just there. I don't know.
Wow. Well,
Baz agrees with me.
Yeah, he does indeed.
That was delivered just as well as if it was delivered by Lionel Hutz for a case. I don't know what to say. I admit I have not seen this. Duncan, have you seen this?
I saw the first August Underground movie, and it is the worst horror movie I've ever seen. So if Jamie's saying the second one is even worse than that, then yeah.
Because it exists. I mean, there really is no need for it. You made your point with the first one, and it was really fucking terrible. So you made your point with that. Why do you feel the need to continue? That right there makes this worse than the first one.
Okay, there you go. There you have it. You have 2 votes. I abstain. So there you go. It is one of the worst horror movies ever made. I have a problem with the popular part, though. I don't think anybody even knows what this is, but...
Well, I mean, it's true that it's sort of like a cult thing, and but they do have a following, and a lot of people are familiar.
Okay. I'm just a commercial loser who knows the big 4. No, I was kidding. Oh, God, Horror Bit is like the worst, man. I post shit on there all the time. I try to open these people up to other horror movies. These guys, man. You post shit about Freddy, Michael, Jason, Leatherface, that shit gets 27,000 views and 321 comments. You post something about anything else, it gets 742 views and 2 comments. It's just unbelievable. Nobody cares about anything besides the fucking cartoon shit. But whatever. What are you gonna do? So, all right. So I'm next, and we're giving our number 1 pick to our guest, Duncan McLeish. You can listen to him at Podcast Under the Stairs, and you have a couple other projects going on, right?
Yeah, I do Duncan and Bo Come Correct, which is fortnightly podcast.
Fortnightly.
So every 2 weeks, myself and Bo Ransdell, we select a movie for each other, which we think, which we know the other one hasn't seen, but we think is an incredibly strong recommend, and then we both watch the films, and then we decide at the end who gave the better suggestion. So
that's the worst movie.
Oh no, of the best one. But we
okay.
We will be doing a worst of series coming up, but which has been a lot of fun because it's not genre specific, so we can basically pick. We've had everything from like buddy cop movies through to kind of serious dramas and all the rest. So it's a lot of fun. I'm also a co-host on the Midnight Horror Show, which is a live internet radio show stroke podcast, and it goes live every Wednesday night at 7 Eastern Standard. Yeah, the Midnight Horror Show is one of the oldest horror podcasts. It was originally formed about 7 years ago, and the original run of the show lasted 3 years, and then they took a couple of years off, and then they returned, kind of not doing the format that they left on, and then they changed it all around again, and they've kind of transferred it over to like live radio, like internet radio. So and it's a lot of fun. It allows me to be incredibly silly on their show and just have a laugh. And we're upfront and honest, it is a horror show, but there's really only maybe about a quarter of the show where horror gets discussed. The rest of it is a lot of drunk ramblings and a lot of nonsense. But you can listen to that 7 Eastern Standard Time, which is actually midnight in the UK. So I'm the only one that can say that, I'm on the Midnight Horror Show at midnight. Every Wednesday night on allradiox.com. So yeah, a couple of different things on the go. Podcast Under the Stairs is still my baby though.
It's your baby.
Yeah, it's the one I started with. It's the one that Jamie named.
Aww.
Yes, yeah. You gave her a list of horror movies that pertain to podcasts, and she picked that one. Well, like we said, it's better than. Let's do a couple more jokes here. Let's see. It's better than Sleepaway Podcast. It's better than
Podcast the 13th.
Podcast. Texas Podcast Massacre?
Which is interesting because his first promo for the show was a takeoff from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre intro.
Yeah.
Okay. It's better than Lost Podcast? Lost Boys?
Yeah, I actually got that.
I was like, Lost? That's a television show.
Lost Podcast? Who the fuck's...
I was going to say Extracast, but that actually is the name of a podcast.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yo, man, Lost is the greatest. Lost is amazing. You gotta watch the finale. No.
Halloween.
Oh, God. A ween.
Podcast a ween.
And it's also better than...
The Skeleton Crew.
It is a better name. If anybody ever wonders how do you came up with this, I'm talking like I'm drunk. Why is that?
Because you're drunk.
If anybody wonders how you came up with the name, the Skeleton Crew, I told this story before. We were, the idea for the show was, okay, so let's do a show. So I said we should have a logo, and I said, what should the picture be? I'm really into 80s stuff, so the first thing I thought about was Creep Show, and then I thought of that ghoul guy, that skeleton type guy with the rags on him and stuff, and then I thought of like skeletons, I guess, and then I said, well, it's a podcast, so how about 3 skeletons in a dungeon at a table with microphones, and everything's all fucked up, it's all shitty and raggedy looking, and whatever. And then Mike goes, yeah, that'd be cool, and we can call it the Skeleton Crew. And I was like, yeah, okay. And that's it. So that's how that happened. Pretty simple. It just happened just like that. Just the idea of the logo, and then he just came up with the name. So that's how we got that. I know, it was amazingly interesting. My pick is going to be Cabin in the Woods. 2000,
You're insane.
You are insane.
You have lost
you're
your
trolling
mind.
me. You're trolling me.
Unfortunately, he's not.
No, I'm not. You never heard our review, dude?
I've heard every single show. I've obviously that was so traumatic that my brain has locked that away somewhere. And
So
for some reason,
your traitor brain.
yeah, I was about to say, my brain, not the Wicker Man remake for some reason. You don't like Cabin in the Woods,
dude. That has to be one of the worst letdowns.
Oh, God, that hurts my feelings so bad.
Ever.
So bad.
It's insanely bad. Upon second watch, it's insanely bad. And I mentioned this one time on the show. I went to watch it a second time. It hopped on Netflix about, let's just say 6 months ago. Probably more. It was on Netflix. I gave, here's the thing about this movie that really disappoints me. I thought it would be so much better the second time because the first time I felt like I was spending so much of my brain power trying to figure this shit out. And I had 100 scenarios. Oh, is this, I was thinking a lot of different things while the movie was going on. And then Matt came up with a great idea. Matt from BananaLaser said that we should have seen everything transpire with the kids and then rewind and then watch it all take place with everyone running the controls. Of course, in a cut manner. You wouldn't see every little thing, so it would work and it would pace well. And that would have been a much better movie. And I believe that's true. And, it was just the characters. Yes, I understand what you're doing. You're going for the typical cliche, the pothead. But that was such an unbelievably lame character. And, I understand what you're doing, but it just didn't work still. The voice, hey, man. Hey, so we gonna smoke more weed, dude? 'Cause I can get higher than that. What the fuck are we watching? The kills weren't even that great. I think one guy threw a bear trap at somebody, and that was the fucking only memorable thing. And out of all the monsters on the planet, and you clearly had a smorgasbord to choose from, you fucking pick zombies, dude? Come on. Talk about, oh, we got our finger on the pulse of America. Fucking Walking Dead is going on right now, and blah, blah, blah. And the zombie craze is back. Fucking Warm Bodies is here. So let's do, I'm sure Warm Zombies or Bodies was after this, but whatever. I'm just saying, that was the craze, obviously. So let's go with zombies, because that's a great idea. And the big monster rally at the end that everybody fucking brags about, to me, man, it wasn't even that great. Most of the monsters they had killing people in masses. It wasn't even individual kills where you could cherish every kill and think it was great. And even the solo kills that they did have weren't that great. Even the one the merman, the one they pointed out, because the guy mentioned a merman earlier, so, oh, what a fucking coincidence. That, I don't even remember how the guy died. I don't even remember. I just remember it was a merman killed him. It's not that memorable. And I remember a lot of shit like that. And like when you really wonder, like where the fuck, what are we at this point now? Like a guy's walking through the woods, he says he's gonna do one thing, and fucking spray hits him in the face, like a gas spray, and he decides that makes him decide to choose some other option, which is more typical and cliche to horror movies. Like I just was like, whoa. And then you get to the ending, and that was just the explanation, just.
Brilliant.
And the two people sitting there, I just couldn't believe what I was watching.
It's fucking brilliant. That is one
Jamie,
of the most...
come on. Stop fucking with me.
No!
It's Lovecraft.
God damn it, it's so Lovecraftian. It's so brilliant. It's so perfectly put together. It's just... the only thing I wish that was different and is that I wish the hand at the end hadn't been as humanoid. I wish that it had been like a claw or something, not a tentacle, which is what you totally expect when you're watching the film. Like
right.
I fully expected it to be a tentacle because of the Lovecraft thing, but I wish it had been just like something a little more clawish and not just like a hand. But that is a very minor complaint, and one that does not mar the film at all for me. I am so giddy every time I watch that movie. I can't even.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
I've seen this movie I saw it twice in the cinema, and I've seen it easily 10 times since it came out.
What?
I think it's an absolutely phenomenal movie. I think all the things that you're pointing out, and I can completely see what you're pointing them out. Like you mentioned the zombies, for example, and you're saying, oh, zombies are like original because it's on the telly. That's the point that zombies are picked at. The filmmaker is making a statement that everything is oversaturated by zombies. That's why zombies are chosen. The over-exaggerated characters, the stereotypes, the jock, the pothead and all the rest, that's him making a statement on the fact that all the horror movies have these characters, and the characters have become so over-exaggerated through time that that's basically what they are. I mean, watch Freddy versus Jason. Look at the two potheads in that movie. You know what I mean?
I understand, but it still doesn't work for that reason.
Yeah, it's deliberately done that way.
I know.
The whole point of that movie is it's almost like a satirical look through what people have been doing in horror movies as a way to, almost like how Scream did the same thing with kind of 80s slasher movies. It kind of resets the button and says, you really shouldn't do this. And that's what Cabin in the Woods is set to do. I think it does it really well. Yeah, there's kind of quirky comic book elements in there. I mean, that's Joss Whedon's trademark. I mean, if you grew up watching Buffy, then if you enjoy Buffy, you'll enjoy Cabin in the Woods. There's no way you wouldn't, because it's so similar in a lot of respects. I love that fucking movie. I think it was like my second favourite movie that year when it came out. I genuinely think it's. Is it the most scary? It's not an effective scary movie at all.
Yeah, exactly. What about that part? There's no scares.
Well, no, but that wasn't what it was.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I don't think.
Well, how is it horror then?
Because it's horror in that
every single trope of horror is represented.
But that doesn't mean it's horror.
In that film. Yeah, it does.
Okay, is the Leslie Nielsen movie horror because it has fucking tropes in it? No, it's not horror.
No,
this is not a horror movie.
I know what you're saying there. I would say there's enough violence in the movie, and there is enough horror characters in the movie, or emulated versions of horror characters, that I would say you could move on. I look at it as like a horror comedy, to be honest with you. I'll laugh at some of those bits, especially the sequences which you cut away and you're in the bunker with the guys who are having their competition and all the rest. That to me is, that's the sense of humour of the movie, which you get once again with Joss Whedon movies. I think you could, the issue I had with this movie, I think, is the same issue that I had with a film like You're Next last year, which was that it's very difficult to advertise and market those films without giving away mega spoilers about them. So people see trailers for that movie. The trailers that played for that movie made it look like a slasher, and it's not a slasher. So if people went in expecting a slasher movie, they totally didn't get what they wanted. With Your Next, that movie's trailer played like a home invasion movie. When you go there, home invasion is a tiny aspect to that movie. The rest is really like a kind of action revenge movie. So, I mean, I think the whole marketing campaign for Cabin in the Woods was put forward in such a way that people expected a movie that they didn't get. But I'm fine with that because the movie I did get, I think, is more interesting than
It was
sitting just
way
watching.
better than what I was expecting.
It's better than sitting watching a generic slasher movie. Sorry for disagreeing.
Alrighty then.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I have to disagree too. I think this is probably this. I described this film as a love letter to horror fans, and I think that's exactly what it was.
Do you know what this is, Jamie?
It
Do you know what
strummed
this is?
every chord. Yes,
Jamie. This is the last time that Duncan will be in the Skeleton Crew.
That's it. Once somebody disagrees, they're fucking out.
But, I think that Duncan, you talked about the zombies, and because I totally get what you're saying, Alex, and I agree with it too. With all of those beautiful choices that you have for monsters, why the fuck are you saddling us with zombies when we have zombies all over the place? But I think that Duncan's point is, I love it when the one girl says, "Oh, wait, I picked zombies," and he's like, "No." He's like, "Hey, those are zombies. These are redneck. What is it? Inbred redneck." Torture zombies, I mean, it's like zombies are so all over the place. We have multiple categories of zombies,
exactly.
So it's just because I totally get that, but I got to tell you when the cells are opening up and the monsters are coming out, or just when they're in the elevator and they keep stopping and looking,
wasn't that great,
and seeing different monsters. I was like a kid in a fucking candy store. I was like, oh my God. Look, there's Pinhead, or look, there's it was just...
Yeah, but they killed them in masses, and most of those generic monsters, you don't even recognize.
No, that's not true. You can watch that film and just pick out, oh, look, there's I can't think of anything good.
Exactly, I told you. It's so generic, you can't do that. The only one that remotely you could pick out is the pseudo Pinhead.
No!
What else is there?
There's the... Well,
okay, I'm done. Case closed.
No. There's
the Jersey Devil.
I didn't say that. There's the werewolf, which I was so happy.
Okay, fine. A werewolf. What else?
Got as big.
Which reminds me. I was listening to your show today, Alex, and you and Dave were saying at the end of the show, has anyone ever made a movie about the Jersey Devil? And the answer to that is yes, and it is The Last Broadcast.
Oh, right.
Well, it is and it isn't. It's a found footage movie that came out. Yeah, The Last Broadcast. It's the found footage movie that came out like about 6 months before the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of full documentary, and it deals with the Pine Barrens and the Jersey Devil.
Is it good?
It's excellent. I fucking love that movie. I don't know how well it's aged, but when I saw that movie, I fucking absolutely loved it. And then Blair Witch came out, and obviously Blair Witch is like
overshadowed.
By a million miles. But it's worth checking it if you get a chance. Last Broadcast.
And just to clarify, I was so drunk on that last show that I said it's easier to find Bigfoot than a good Bigfoot movie. What I meant to say was it's easier to find...
No, I think you said it right. You said it right this time, yeah.
I think I said it right this time, but I might have said it wrong. Yeah. I think I might have said it wrong last time.
I would agree with that. There's very few movies that deal with anything remotely related to Bigfoot that actually work. Good. Yeah, that actually work.
Although you apparently liked Willow Creek, which I don't even get.
I'll tell you right now, if you sit down and you watch Willow Creek and you experience the last half an hour of that movie with a pair of 7.1 surround sound headphones at midnight, sitting yourself, it'll scare the fucking shit out of you.
Dude, I don't know. We got 15 minutes sitting in a tent with two people.
You're 15 minutes sitting in a tent, and the sound design in the background of that is fucking terrifying. You hear, and it's the thing about it is it's everything it's not the two characters, it's everything that's happening around the two characters. The camera's focusing directly on them, but the sound design is what sells that sequence. And unless, like Bo had said to me,
but see, that didn't work for me in Blair Witch either. So,
I love the Blair Witch Project.
So I actually just watched Blair Witch earlier this week because we're going to be talking about an evil episodes, and still doesn't work. I still don't like it.
You didn't like the Blair Witch Project?
No. You know why I don't like Blair Witch? Is fucking Heather Donahue is the reason that I don't like Blair Witch. I don't like her. Her character. I don't know her personally. I don't like her character, and all I want to do is kill her and leave her in the woods throughout the entire film. Oh my God.
I at school, I knew a couple of people that were very much like her, and that's why whilst I don't like her, I think she represents a believable character.
Sure, she's believable. She's not a character I want to spend any time with. And so I really don't care what happens to her. So it's like it just sours the whole thing for me. There are a couple of effective moments or things that I like about it. I really enjoy the first part of the film where they're talking to the townspeople.
Yeah.
I really love that part. And then in the middle, I just want to chop all that out. And then you get to the end, and I think it's okay. But like from the point where she finds the teeth.
Yeah.
And then I think it just sort of goes kind of balls to the wall after that, and it's okay. But the whole middle part is just... It's a tough sit. It's a very tough sit for me.
But to me, it sets up all the tropes that you get and all the... I mean, you've got to remember that was one of the first ones to do it. So,
yeah, and what the thing I really... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say it sets up all the tropes you get in pretty much every found footage movie now, which is a lot of nothing really happening, people questioning things when really what they should be doing is putting down the camera and getting the fuck out of Dodge.
It's even like they spend so much time on the map, and the truth of the matter is, if you are lost in the fucking woods, and if you've ever been lost in the woods, and I have, if you've ever been lost in the woods, you'll know a map is not going to do you any good if you don't know where you are. And so the fact that and I understand it's like, that's the thing that they had that was tying them to their opportunity to get home, and it was just like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. It was the only thing I really, really, really like about that film is the marketing that surrounded it. I think that was a brilliant marketing campaign.
It had never been done before. That's why
by anything before or since. It was incredible.
It was very smart.
The film itself, I just don't enjoy.
However, what I would say is one thing that me and you will agree on right now is I know for a fact that me and you both think the second movie is pretty fucking good.
We also watched that too. We're not even talking about that one, but after we watched the first one, I was like, can we watch the second one? And Brian's like, no, because he likes it too.
It's one of the ones that would generally appear on the worst horror list, and I will fucking arm wrestle people.
I will too, because
I'm wrong. I think it's a lot better than a lot of people think it is.
It's really smart. I mean, people automatically hate that film, I think, because it's not the first one, but it's so smart because the second film touches on mass hysteria in such a beautiful way, and it's just one big mind fuck.
Yep.
And I think they do an amazing job, because they even talk about they even have that whole sequence where Tristan and her boyfriend are arguing because he's calling it mass hysteria, she's saying perception is reality, when in fact I think they're both true. I mean, it's both.
They're both right. Yeah.
And so in this film just plays those two things against each other, and you as the audience, 1 minute the bridge is there, the next minute the bridge is not. 1 minute, but what's really happening? We see the goth chick go in, flick Peggy's name tag, cuss at her, and walk out the door. But then what we see on the video is she's stabbing her to death with a nail file.
Yeah.
Well, what really happened? We want to believe what really happened is what we saw. Yeah. But is that really what really happened? I mean, it's oh my God, it is so underrated. I don't even understand it. I don't understand it. But anyway, sorry.
Wow.
sorry.
That's a rant.
Sorry.
Quick aside, yeah.
So, okay, you're wrong about Cabin in the Woods.
We're still there? Yeah. Well, all right. Well, yeah, Cabin in the Woods.
I respect that choice. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. It does not compute.
Sounds good. Well, I guess there's the one choice, which was my number one choice, and it got 2-1 that it's not one of the worst.
What you say, Duncan? Round us out, baby.
Well, I see. I had one picked, and then Jamie started talking about.
Oh, I know it. Go.
Jamie started talking about August Underground. So the one that I originally had was the Hitcher remake because I hate that movie. Fucking hate it for all the same reasons. All the same reasons that I hate the Wicker Man movie. It's a fucking pointless remake, and the things they change in it to try and take it in a different direction just completely undermine the film. And I was going to choose that, and then you mentioned August Underground, Mordom, and I was like, and then it suddenly reminded me that I watched a film this week which I consider as, I'm going to put it out there right now, and this one probably has a more high profile than your August Underground movie, but a Serbian film. I think a Serbian film is a fucking shite movie. It is absolutely a fucking waste of time. It's so shocking because, you know, there's a baby rape sequence in it, and, you know, there's pedophilia and all the rest, and it's all put all there. No. Distance yourself from that. Just because it's a movie, so distance yourself from that. And look at it, what the director said. The director said that it is a statement. It's an allegory for the violence that happens in Serbia for, you know, military forces who are still apparently torturing and raping and mutilating the bodies of basically their enemies or civilians or all the rest. And that's what it put forward. See, if you want to make a movie which basically examines how Serbia runs things, you make a documentary. You do not make a Serbian film. A Serbian film is a nasty piece of exploitation which serves no merit at all, not even on a special effects level, of any other way than to try and make some sort of weird violent pornography, which I would argue is not required. I think the story is ropey at best. The only positive thing I would say about it is it's shot very well. That's the only positive thing I have to say about that movie. I think and this is the second time I watched it, was this week to do Baz v Horror, and
what are you doing to him over there?
Well, no, but I said before I watched it, I was like, that Baz will be fine with this because it's just gore, but that doesn't bother him. And he watched it.
Yeah, you're right.
And the first thing he said to me was, "Oh, it's a vile little piece of cinema, but it's not challenging, it's not scary." And I know I know it upsets some people, and I know there's particular things in the movie that get under people's skin and all the rest and stick with them. It just doesn't do that for me. I genuinely think it's a waste of time, and it is a pure exercise in nonsense. It's done for no other reason than to try and shock, and I think it fails on that level. So yeah, Serbian film, sorry.
I say the exact same things about Human Centipede.
I would agree with that. Human Centipede would be right beside that movie. I think it's exactly the same, Jamie.
However, I actually like a Serbian film. I don't find it doesn't disturb me. It doesn't creep me. It doesn't get under my skin. It doesn't, like the whole baby thing, that was so blown out of proportion. As soon as anybody heard the one thing, they took that and ran with it. And it was completely just, made out to be way much more than it was. I personally think that scene is one of the least effective scenes in the film.
Oh, God, definitely.
But the reason that I enjoy it is really the one thing you said was good about it. You said you thought it was shot really well. I think it's a beautiful film. I do. Yeah. And there are some striking images in it that I just enjoy watching. And, that might make me a sick fuck. I don't know. But but I think it's really nice to look at. I really like what was done with the camera work. I like the way it looks. I like so all of the stuff that's actually going on aside, I enjoy watching it. Like, I enjoy viewing this film because I think that it's beautifully made. As far as the the intentions behind it, or whether or not it delivers the shocks or whatever. No, I don't personally think that it does. There are it takes very special things to shock me. It's like I didn't find Human Centipede shocking. I found Human Centipede very one note,
If a 1 minute old baby getting fucked doesn't shock you, then I want to know what does. Like fucking Evil Dead, blood squirting out of the wall. Like, what shocks you?
No, that doesn't shock me.
Okay, what shocks you then?
There is really one thing that is guaranteed to disturb me, and that it doesn't even have to be in a horror film, and I don't know why, and I can't explain it, but and that is male on male rape. And I'm talking like prison movies, even Pulp Fiction.
So you're homophobic?
No, I have no problem with consensual male sex. Whatever. It's not the actual act of it that bothers me. It's the I don't know.
The idea that the guy doesn't want to dick up his ass.
Yeah. But like you take the movie Bad Boys, the Sean Penn movie, the prison movie, Pulp Fiction, Deliverance. Yeah, exactly. Those films, those scenes in those films disturb the fuck out of me, and I don't know why, because I'm not a guy. You know, I mean, female rape doesn't bother me as much as male on male rape does.
Scissor fucking is very violent.
But no, I mean male on female rape. Like I have an easier time watching. I Spit on Your Grave than I do.
Watching three guys fuck a girl is normal to you?
I didn't say it was normal. I said I have
shocking.
I have an easier time watching that than I do watching the Ned Beatty scene in Deliverance. It's just that disturbs me. But as far as the baby's concerned, it's not real. It's clearly fake.
But so what, Jamie? It's a baby coming out of a girl right into a dick.
Here's my point. If you want to make that movie, if you want to make that particular scene disturbing, like really disturbing, when the baby comes out, the camera pans away from the screen, and you just hear the actions. You don't see it.
Because seeing it drives home how unreal it is.
Yeah, it does. It drives home how fake how poorly constructed that whole sequence is. And I'm not saying I want to see a really well-made baby rape scene. That's something
Duncan, I think you want to sit down here and talk to us about it.
It's totally not what I want to see, but there's a reason that like, to go to a movie that Alex loves, and I know he loves, the reason that the shower scene in Psycho is so effective is the way that you never see the knife penetrate. It's just the way the camera cuts, and your mind fills the blank in. Your mind makes that scene a lot more violent than anything that's portrayed on screen, and that's what works. It's the same reason that scene in Reservoir Dogs is so fucking horrific, where he cuts the guy's ear off. The camera pans away and you just hear him scream, and when it comes back round, the ear's off. And your mind makes it far more savage than probably what the action was. And that's how it's like the director of a Serbian film feels the need to put every single thing on the screen, and there's no degree of subtlety there at all. And what he doesn't understand is the makings of a good horror movie is subtlety. It's attention to detail. It's making sure that you keep the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, great example. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, teaspoonful of blood. Anyone that saw that movie came out and thought it was a bloodbath, and it's not. It's all implied, and it's all suggestive. And you, as the person, as the individual, make it worse if you can't see it. That sequence, on paper, Alex, I totally agree. On paper, that scene should be the most horrific thing ever. It should be one of the most horrific actions ever in cinema, hands down. You see it played out on the screen, and it is so clearly fake that it just drags me right out every single time.
I have a perfect example. I was watching a documentary a while back about a serial killer, and sadly I cannot remember his name, and it's just because...
John Wayne Gacy?
No. But they were interviewing his daughter, and... His daughter related a story that her father told her about when he killed a woman and her 2-year-old child.
Is it Pee Wee Gaskins?
Yeah.
There you go. See.
There. Good job.
It's not Pee Wee's Big Adventure?
Well, it was an adventure, I guess. But anyway, and for some reason, and she's telling this story about when her father is telling her about when he killed this woman and her child. The child was 2 years old, and he told his daughter that he didn't know why, but for some reason he felt like he needed to rape this child. And so when this woman is telling this story that her father told her about him raping this 2-year-old child, that bothered me so much, and it sticks with me today. And even if I just stop and think about it, if something makes it cross my mind, I get a whole body shiver, and I'm just like, and it is one of the most horrible things that I can picture in my mind, and it's truly, truly horrible and disturbing. Now, this particular scene in a Serbian film, by all rights, because it's a brand new baby, brand spanking new, should be much worse. But it's not, because what was more horrific to me about it was the her telling it and me being forced to imagine this in my head while I'm hearing this story. I mean, because you're not going to be able to not think about it when she's telling you the story. So I've got this whole scenario in my head, and it is bothering the fuck out of me. But I don't see a thing. But then in this movie, when you see everything, it's just like, because it's not real. It's not real, but the story that I heard is real, and that makes it that much worse. Mm-hmm. But in the film, it's not, and you know it, and it's clear. And so I think that it just sort of it drives out all chances of being effective. So, so there's that. Also, there was a woman in Britain that I read about a couple years ago who allowed her boyfriend to rape her 6-month-old baby.
Oh, I hate stuff like that.
And that story haunts me. It does. And it's just every time for whatever reason I think about it, like right now, it really is a haunting thing. But it's because, just like Duncan said, I mean, it's in my head, And
you about to cry?
And my imagination is making it much worse than someone having a rubber baby on the screen,
It was that dude from the former singer of the Lost Prophets, the band, the new metal band, who did it.
Did what?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, raped the baby.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's in prison now. He's locked away for the next 40 years. And to be honest, I don't think he'll never come out of prison. And if he does, he'll be in a body
get
bag.
Killed.
Yeah. There's a code in prison, and
oh yeah, you kill people like that.
Nothing like
yeah. Well, here's the thing. It always amazed me that a guy found a girl who was willing to let him rape her 6 months. Like, what are the chances out of the billions of people on Earth that he actually found a guy who's willing to fuck a 6-month-old baby? Actually found a girl.
Yeah, but it's all to do with the fact that he was a celebrity. The woman was a junkie. She was addicted to the same drugs that he was peddling at the time and what he was taking, and he'd been grooming her for months. So they start off with innocent chat, and he slowly starts incorporating slightly more deviant stuff into his text messages, and then eventually persuaded her, because she was the biggest fan of the band, to do something which is absolutely fucking heinous. So it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But
baby
Jamie says,
scene in Trainspotting, that gets me too.
Oh yeah,
that baby in Trainspotting, holy crap!
What, the baby spotted the train?
No,
I've never seen it.
You've never
and
seen
not even the
Trainspotting?
part where the baby's climbing on the ceiling, but the part where you realize that this woman has been so fucked up that her baby is dead.
Dead, yeah. It's horrible.
Oh my god! You just give a spoiler?
Yeah, well,
No, it's not much. Not really. Trainspotting's not a movie that you can really spoil. I could tell you everything that happens in that movie, and you would watch it, and it would still be just as effective as if you didn't know it. Yeah. It's a really. Trainspotting's a really uncomfortable watch. Really uncomfortable. You should, if you've never seen it. I recommend it. It was written by a Scotsman, funnily enough, called Irvin Welsh, who has had another one of his books recently adapted. It came out called Filth with James McAvoy, which is a similar premise actually. It's all to do with basically drug excess and alcohol excess, but everyone in the movie's addicted to something. So you have a young Robert Carlyle who's addicted to violence. Will go out his way to start fights with people because that's just his nature. But the people that are out of their face on drugs, the ones that are heavily addicted to drugs, some of the sequences in that are absolutely horrific.
Did anybody snort 90 milligrams of Percocet a night?
No. That movie to me, there's a classic example. That movie to me, Trainspotting, is more effective than a Serbian film by a million miles.
Oh, for sure.
Has so much more to say and is far more terrifying than a Serbian film. And
I
a
think
Serbian
Kids
film
is more disturbing than a
I would
Serbian
agree with that.
film.
Yeah, I would agree.
Kids is disturbing as shit.
No, that guy, he was tapping tons of bitches.
Oh my god,
that was awesome, man.
God, that movie's horrible. I mean, the movie's good, but it's just.
As a kid, I always wanted to maintain my, I wanted to be a nice kid, a clean kid, and to watch that movie, Kids, I felt I was being part of a different thing in society. I just wanted to Wash my hands from it. I hated that movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, it kind of makes you feel dirty and a little bit disgusting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I hated it.
Yeah.
So, all right.
So, so what? So we're not. I take it we're not accepting a Serbian film then.
Oh, no, I totally get everything you're saying. I'm just saying and I don't think it's effective as far as being disturbing or anything, but I do think it's pretty to look at. So,
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it's one of the worst horror movies ever made. So it's weird as we come down and really get to the passion of this.
Yeah.
We don't agree with each other because I guess that goes to show you that passion will always be outweighed with general consensus.
Yeah, I think the ones we picked at the start are all obvious ones. I think as you get closer to the bottom of the list, these are movies that you personally don't like. Yeah, and of course, when you start putting that level into things, my experience of that movie is completely not the same experience as what Jamie had of that movie, and as a result, we can see each other's points but can't relate them. So,
yes, yeah. I mean, honestly, Nightmare on Elm Street 5 is worse than this. So like, and, you know what I mean? So I can't even say, no, this is not the worst horror. Like, it's not even in the top 10. Like, it's just crazy. Hellraiser 5, 6, 7, and 8 are worse than this. So, no, I mean, you know, listen, it's hard making these lists. You basically want to give your little fucking personal jabs in here and shit like that.
It's all subjective, of course.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't help but make it for it to be.
Exactly. And once you get to the end and you get to the ones there, I just really want to say this one. Yeah, it's hard to get everybody to hop on board. But hey, man, we all got it out. I hope you enjoyed, guys. We'll be right back to wrap up the show.
This is Mr. Skin from MrSkin.com with all the skinfo from the latest movies. Nude in theaters, Eva Green is sinfully sexy in the Sin City sequel, A Dame to Kill For. Amongst a whole host of black and white hotties, Eva provides the best comic strip while bedding down Josh Brolin. This isn't Sin City, it's Skin City.
This is the Mr. Skin Minute.
Nude on DVD, a 55-year-old Sharon Stone dares to bear in Fading Gigolo. Sharon's far from fading, busting out her ageless pair and enjoying a threesome with Sofia Vergara and John Turturro. Fading Gigolo will give you a rising piccolo. Nude on Showtime, comedian Sarah Silverman loses the funny and brings the fun bags on Masters of Sex. This time, Sarah goes south on Annalie Ashford, then gets out of bed to give us a peek at her silver mams. Sarah will make you do stand-up in your pants.
MrSkin.com. Fast forwarding to the good parts.
All right, guys. Well, this is the wrap-up of the 10 worst horror movies of all time. I think we got a good amount in there. Well, 10. But what I'm saying is, I think we spoke our minds. I mean, I didn't mention House 2. I didn't mention Nightmare on Elm Street 5 or 6. I didn't mention Hellraiser 5, 6, 7, or 8.
9 or 10.
No, there's not 10. There's only 9. The 9th was without Doug Bradley, right?
Yeah, it had Fat Pinhead in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we didn't mention the Wishmasters. We didn't mention the Phantasms. Are there any bad Phantasms?
You could argue that there's certain elements in Phantasm movies which maybe aren't great, but I don't. My personal opinion is there isn't a bad Phantasm movie.
I agree.
If that makes sense.
I think the second one is lacking only because they replaced.
Right.
They replaced one of the characters, and that kind of ticked me off. But really, overall, I enjoy the Phantasm series as a whole. I really enjoy the diversity that everyone brought to this, because it wasn't, just a bunch of slashers thrown out there. It wasn't we actually got into discussions about films that we've never talked about on this show before. And, I think that's awesome.
I'm glad we did the Nightmare stuff, because we never talked, because that was always your big thing, that you were going to defend Nightmare on Elm Street remake to the death, and we always touched on it, but never actually really went for it, so. Unless we do a true review, I mean, I think we covered enough, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it. Duncan, thanks so much, bud, for joining us. We're really, really happy to have you on. Yay. We loved you on the Scream 4 show. Love your show.
Thank you very much for having me back on your show. I've said it many, many, many times, and I never get sick of saying it. Skeleton Crew, you are one of the reasons that I took up the kind of horror podcast and things. You're an inspiration to everything I do. You're an inspiration to many other people. You get me through my working day whenever you release a show, and I will always be a lifelong fan.
Aww.
Thanks, bro. It means the world to me that someone like you who, the fact that you even say that we inspired you to do it, and the fact that you're doing so well, and you're having, most important, this is always about fun, guys. If we can inspire that from somebody and then be such a positive impact on their life, that's the world to us, and it's far more payment than any monetary thing we could ever get. So thank you for even saying that and doing what you do.
I reiterate all of that.
The rambling that went nowhere, you reiterate that.
I do. You said a lot. I agree with it. And I love you, Duncan. I love you so much. Thank you for coming on. You're one of my best friends, and yay.
Aww.
Makes me happy.
Yay.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that a guy with a Freddy Krueger tattoo on his arm actually likes part 2. That's awesome.
Oh, but telling you, right, I am over the moon that I'm actually on a show with someone that likes that movie. Everyone, there's you know what I think it is? There's an extreme case of homophobia in the podcast community towards that movie. I
love Robert Russler.
Yeah, I bet. Well, Duncan, what do you think about, you heard the Mark Patton interview that we just released. Yeah. What do you think what Mark said? He says, I'll tell you what I think. I think people like to agree with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Like, if you see that everyone, horror movies, man, they are what they are. In the 80s and the 90s, early 90s, they are what they were. And it was kind of your own opinion, and you really didn't share it very much. Unless you really had friends that are horror fans. And that's the amazing thing about podcasts and the internet, that you finally get to express these things and bounce off of other people and get ideas and have discussion. Now, what do you think about his idea that, once everybody got online and they all saw, I don't know who got the ball rolling, but this is gay and nobody likes part 2, it broke too many rules, it's not good. I never even thought of that would be the case until I got online. And what do you think of his idea that people are pretty much, once they see that kind of ball rolling and has so much momentum, they tend to just jump on the ball because it's easier than getting run over by it?
In a lot of respects, yeah. I think there's a lot of people that have conviction in their opinions, and those that have conviction will not waver. Like Jamie has conviction in her opinion of the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, and she's been given pretty much every scenario put at her doorstep to waver, and she will not waver on that one because she has conviction of what she believes. I mean, she's not just saying these things to be different or, be an elitist or anything like that. She's saying them because that's the experience she gets away from it, and that's what she takes forward with it. There are a lot of people that will very, very happily jump on a bandwagon of opinion about things. I mean, the classic example of these things are, and I've been guilty of myself, of a remake gets announced for a movie that's quite near and dear to your heart, and before you know it, you've already condemned it. It's going to be shit. It's going to be awful. It's going to be the worst thing, absolutely, that's ever been made at all. And it hasn't even been shot yet. And I think the thing is that when people look back over things and maybe put forward, see people that are relatively undecided about whether they like a movie or they don't like a movie, if a particular case is put forward to them which is compelling enough, they might start to side with that. My issue with, and I know that Nightmare 2 is a very cheesy movie, I completely understand that, but and I know it broke the mythology of the character and he's not supposed to exist in the real world. I understand all these elements, but when I watch that movie, I have a fucking blast watching it every single time. I think Freddy is incredibly mean in that movie. It's before he goes into his full-on one-liner delivering thing. He's probably at his most sinister and most mean in that movie. Yeah, there are elements which you could maybe class as being homoerotic, but to be honest with you, I don't bother about that part of the movie. What I bother about is, you know, what they actually do in the movie, and I think they deliver. That sequence at the barbecue is absolutely fucking brilliant, and it has when Freddy's saying "You're all my children now," that yes. I get chills every time he says that. I mean, it's. I think it's those things that sell that movie for me. I would never argue that it's a greatly made, competent movie, because that's an argument you'll never win. It's about what it makes you feel, and I really enjoy that movie. Bells and whistles and all, I really enjoy it. And I'm just glad that you do as well, because everyone I speak to, it's like, really? The second one? No, the second one's really bad. And I'm like, well, that's your opinion. it's not mine.
Here's what shocks me, and maybe Jamie can answer this. Why do you guys jump to that one and just gloss over 5, 6?
I don't gloss over it. Those movies suck. Those movies are terrible. I don't gloss over them at all, except for New Nightmare. I really enjoy New Nightmare.
4, 5, and 6 suck.
My problem with 2 is not. It's not even so much as they broke the rules, which I think that they did. However, you can argue that it's the second film in a franchise. Mm-hmm. There are no rules,
Yep.
And that's a totally valid argument. What bothers me about that film is that, to me, the beauty of Freddy, and I've actually said this before on this show when we were talking about underrated films.
Yeah, that's right.
The beauty of Freddy is that he is an ethereal creature who gets you in your sleep. He can get you anywhere. He can't, you cannot escape your dreams. When you bring that into the real world, it just becomes a matter of locking your door. And I think that removes everything that's scary about what Freddy really is. So it's like, I can't keep you out of my dreams, but I can keep you out of my house. So that's not really scary. So
because he actually jumped through the glass and disappeared, then came out of the ground. So you can't lock him out.
Yeah, well, you have him doing the whole possession thing and actually having a corporeal body. Then it's I just think that removes the very unique and terrifying element that exists within the character of Freddy. Makes him like anything else.
What's wrong with exploring sleepwalking?
Well, nothing except for, like you said, that a guy, like a physical guy, is not as menacing as someone who gets you.
But it is when you're in the room with the guy and all of a sudden he's possessed.
Yeah, but that's a whole other movie, and that's really not that very different or unique. It's like anything else out there.
No. What movies do you know your best friend sitting next to you and all of a sudden he's about to kill you?
Idle Hands.
Jamie, that's 20 years later.
I'm just saying. To me, it removes what's scary about it. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, 15 years. Wow.
That was quick, though. How about that?
Yeah, it was really fast. Duncan, do you have anything else to add to this historic show?
Just that it's been an absolute blast, and if anyone has the opportunity to jump over, check out my show, you're always welcome. I'm currently doing a topic which is not too dissimilar to some of the stuff.
Talk about that.
Yeah, some of the stuff we've been doing tonight. I'm currently running down what I class as the top 10 best and worst horror remakes. So in each show, you'll get what I consider, like, for example, we've done 10 and 9 already. The next show is 8, obviously, so it's my 8th worst horror remake as well as the best one. So each show has a terrible movie and an awesome movie, and some really cool guests coming over as well. So yeah, that's what I'm running through at the moment. And when that finishes off, we will be doing 5 weeks of Baz v Halloween, which will take us through October, and then my show is undertaking a slight facelift. It'll be changing slightly, and it'll be coming back in a different format to celebrate our 2nd year of podcasting. So,
yeah, we said this year we weren't going to review movies anymore, so that really worked out. Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you're lazy and go, let's just review this.
Oh, let's just review a movie.
Fuck. All right. Well, thanks again, bro, coming on. Great job, great insight. Perfect guy for this topic. For Duncan and Jamie, this is Alex. We hope you enjoyed Skeleton Crew, show number 93, and we will be back very soon with number 94. And we have some cool things coming up. We will still get to the Abbott and Costello Meet the Skeleton Crew. You guys might know what that is. We talked about it last year. It's going to come up in October, so a few weeks away, but a couple other things before that. So, thank you for listening, and have a good night.